destruction of critical infrastructure, loss of lives and disruption of the economy. President William Ruto linked retired President Uhuru Kenyatta to the demos, saying that Kenyatta is working with Odinga to destabilize his government due to the challenges that are affecting the whole world. President Ruto vowing that his government will not allow Kenya to be returned to dictatorial leadership.
Today, you are sponsoring anarchy with your sponsor and handshake brother so that you can enslave this country. I want to promise that you will not succeed again. Watu wakilipwa pesa wavunje mali, waharibu barabara, walete maafa, walete fujo. Gharama ya maisha itarudi chini kwa njia gani?
This is Azimio leader Raila Odinga has insisted that the protest will continue, asking President William Ruto to get rid of his threats directed to opposition leaders as well as Kenyans, claiming that the demonstrating is a constitutional right. In the press conference, Raila, who was accompanied by fellow leaders, also made it clear that protests will resume Wednesday next week, while encouraging Kenyans to turn out in large numbers.
Tumesema Jumatano ijao tena Kenya yote watajumuika. Tutakuwa na kamkunji ingine Jumatano ijayo. Wapende wasipende, watashika sisi zote hapa Eugene, lakini baada hayo Kalonzo ingine atatokea, Martha ingine atatokea, Eugene ingine atatokea, Wairia. Hii ni kama mto Nile imetoka Jinja inaelekea kule bahari ya Shamu.
Despite the strong stance by the opposition, President William Ruto's supporters continue to ask him not to cooperate with Raila in his government, accusing him of crippling the Jubilee government after President Uhuru Kenyatta decided to cooperate with him in his second term of office, which is synonymously known as the handshake, sentiments the head of state has welcomed, saying that he will not budge to the opposition's demands.
Na wewe rais, usisikiza mtu yeyote anajaribu kuleta hiyo mtu karibu na wewe, kwa sababu chanzo cha shida ya Kenya ilianza na Raila Odinga na kikomo ya shida ya Kenya itaisha na Raila Odinga. Mnasema nimkalie ngumu? Hiyo ni amri. Mnajua sasa nyinyi ndio mmeniajiri. Wewe kaa ngumu, usikubali kusonga hii kata inchi moja kwa sababu hiyo mjamaa anafanya maandamano, kwa sababu tunajua wewe ni muungwana and you are a brave man.
Meanwhile, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki says all leaders who led violent demos will be arrested. Kindiki said that 312 protesters, including 2 political leaders, had been arrested and will be charged with murder, robbery, with violence and destruction of property.
Wale wote ambao wamehusika lazima tuwashtaki na lazima wahukumiwe wote. Hiyo kazi imeanza na leo hii tumeanza kushika wale ambao walifanya hiyo kazi. Tumeshika watu 312 na tutaendelea tushike hata wale wengine ambao ni viongozi wa sasa ama viongozi wa zamani ambao walichochea ama kuchanga pesa ama kusafirisha wale wakora walisababisha ile hasara ambao tulipata jana.
Elsewhere, Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen has said that the damage done on the Nairobi Expressway could cost them up to more than 700 million shillings. Murkomen said they had CCTV footage of protesters who vandalized the expressway.
The government of Kenya is going to do everything humanly possible to make sure that we bring all the perpetrators to justice. Fortunately, most of them were captured in the CCTV cameras that were here. We have the footages. The police have arrested not less than 50 people in relation to the acts that happened here yesterday, but you know, we had almost 2,000 people operating from here. We will do everything humanly possible to ensure that each and every mandamano and criminal who was here yesterday is going to be brought to justice.
The CS further said the taxpayers, including opposition leaders who led the destruction, would have to bear the cost. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has reclaimed 7.5 million shillings illegally acquired by 2 HIV/AIDS researchers in 2004. Job Keitani and Michael Chisikao were working as herbalists and researchers at PAR-AIDS, a community-based organization that received a grant from the National AIDS Control Council to test the efficiency of herbal medicines in combating the killer disease. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. It's about shipping up. You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aye, City. Do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda. I mean, I don't answer. What are they saying?
how are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
Your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of... At the tail end of the week and the beginning of Friday, what do we see on these streets today? A little bit of movement on Jago Road, getting out towards the city by way of Landis this morning. The Thika Superhighway, nothing much happening here. It's going to build up, though, that we can see from the rumblings that are happening just beyond the Outer Ring Junction. We're also seeing some movement on Waiaki Way coming into the city, but apart from that, really nothing else. We know that from the 11th, that was yesterday, Mombasa Road and some of the construction for the resurfacing of the road takes place until the 16th. So outbound traffic is going to be a thing. Get ready for that, especially in the coming days. Just a warning signal, and we're sending that out right now. Okay, let's start off Friday right. Let us know what's going on where you are. Let's keep things moving as best we can. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter. Keep things moving this Friday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's not complicated.
Hey, my friend, that baridi is just too much. Too much. Ndu, the phone has refused to send a message to Miriam. Please help me do that.
I help you send a message to Miriam. I'll do that right away.
Aye.
What would you like me to say? Dear Miriam.
Good morning, Miriam. How are you this good morning?
Endelea?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Good morning,
Welcome.
Miriam. Morning, Miriam. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Welcome. Alafu?
See you soon.
See, you think I'm not writing? I'm writing what you're saying.
Okay.
See you soon. Alafu?
Yes. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Anything else?
Huh? Please tell her about the temperature.
Please, help somebody, I beg. As you're going, don't be putting this inside freezer. Abi?
The temperature is good when it's not bad. And this one is bad.
This one is bad.
Help our lives. Hey. And don't put the temperature at -17.
It's too much. It's too much.
It has sent.
Very good.
And it's double tick, so that means it has entered half.
Oh, good. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Na wewe je, Bwana Muga?
Mimi niko mzima bwana.
Wewe uko mzima? Salama salimini.
Nashukuru vile.
Pia mimi nashukuru.
You're fine?
Yes. It's Friday.
It is.
Yes. It's the 14th day. Today is April day. And it's Friday. So what?
And April are going to reduce fuel costs.
Yes.
They're
going to reduce fuel costs.
So that now
tunaishi kwa imani.
Yes. Utakuwa unapeleka gari kubwa lakini gharama itakuwa ni kama ya pikipiki.
Imagine. Friday is the day for sherehe. Sherehe? Sherehe. You know the biggest song now in Kikuyu land is by a gentleman called Kuroga Wawajiko. And a lady called Mzima Mzima.
Mzima Mzima?
She's called Mzima Mzima?
Yeah, that's her name. Mzima
Mzima.
She's a presenter. She's a sports radio presenter.
Apo.
She's a radio sports presenter.
She's also a singer. Anaimba nyimbo.
And she's also singing. And that song basically, it's a conversation between a guy and his lady, right? So they video call one another. And then the guy is like, where are you, my dear? Let's go and party. Let's go and celebrate. This is the only life we have. Right? It's the only life. We go and celebrate and have a party. And then the lady is like, I have really missed you, my darling. My heart only thinks about you. Come pick me up. Let's go and party. This is the life. This is the life. Okay? Proper. We come, my dear, to the yesterday.
It sounds so different.
Ednah, you would do like that?
You hold your neck as you're dancing.
Look at the video. Video call, you see?
This dude.
The girl.
You'll see her.
Oh, more floss.
There's Mzima Mzima. Complete.
The wheels are
proper. Now the next verse is a very controversial one.
Okay, so
he says, clean up and dress up. Basically, it's the way they're just singing it. It's like they're saying something kawaii. They just clean up and dress up. It's basically saying, wash.
I'm coming.
Twende tufanye hang.
Twende to hang.
To hang. All right.
Kabisa. Tukafanye hang ile.
So what made you wake up and think about that song this morning? Or it's just been...
It's sherehe day.
Oh, it's sherehe day.
Yeah, na maisha no maya.
That word is still bothering me.
I told you to relax.
What word?
There's a word I know that I'm trying to remember a word and it's refusing to come. Titi said it's in the back burner. It's refusing to come to the front burner.
It'll surface. If you keep pushing it, it'll
word
surface.
for what?
When the doctors prod you, like when you go for a checkup and the doctors prod you with their fingers checking for anything in your tummy area, there's a word for it.
And it's not poking you.
It's not poking
you. So just rotor poking.
Don't even tell me.
Yes.
It's not prodding.
No. There is a word they use. I can't. It's not prodding. No. There's a word they use when the doctor is prodding you. It's not prodding.
So it's prodding.
This Friday comes
surely.
God. Thanks.
Why would they come up with another word for prodding?
It's the medical term for it. There's a word. And Titi knows what I'm saying, isn't it?
I am aware.
I know what you're saying.
You know,
but
you
why are
even
they
know the
coming up
word.
with another word for
You
it?
even know the word. It's just that it's somewhere floating. Help us.
Is it?
It came to the tip of my tongue.
Then your tongue let
Then it
go.
went back to
Then
where
your tongue let go. Nessa sawa. Anyway, it'll come. Sawa. 16 minutes after 6, everybody, karibuni sana to this Kenya's biggest conversation. Do you know what we'll be discussing today?
Tell us.
Let me tell you. At 7 a.m., we'll be hosting two people. One of them is Esther Ngado, and the other one is George Otieno. Esther is Child Health and Development Programs Lead, and George Otieno is Somesha Programs Lead at an organization called Action Foundation. Nurturing care and early learning opportunities for children with disabilities. That's what we'll be focusing on this Health Friday. And then at 8 a.m., we talk to the man called May Janga. May Janga is now referred to as former Mungiki leader.
Seriously.
Okay. For former Mungiki leader, May Janga, who is a politician, joins us at 8 a.m. Politics of Mount Kenya. And then at 9, dealing with sickle cell anemia. That's another Health Friday conversation. Selina Ogweno is joining us. She is the CEO of Children's Sickle Cell Foundation. Comes in at 9. Keep it here for that. Coming up throughout the show today. 17 after 6, we are live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook. You know the do. Let us know where you're tuned in from, where you're doing the sherehe today.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cloudy conditions this Friday in Nairobi at 13, highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 25 in a mostly cloudy Nakuru at 13. It's also 13 and cloudy in Nyeri, highs of 22. 24 will be the high in a partly cloudy Eldoret at 11. Looking into Mombasa, it's 23 degrees and partly cloudy through to highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 28 as well in a cloudy Malindi at 25. It's 19 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 28 and lows of 18, and at 16, Kakamega is clear. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 15. Partly cloudy at 19 in Kampala, highs of 27, and 30 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Dar es Salaam at 23. It's 4 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 14 and lows of 2. Clear skies this morning in Lagos, still early though, highs of 30 and lows of 25. It's clear at 21 in Kinshasa, highs of 33 and lows of 19. Friday afternoon is sunny in Beijing. It'll see highs of 35 and lows of 24. And early morning Paris is cloudy at 16 with highs of 31. 20 will be the high in a cloudy London at 16, and at 27 where the summers are blistering. New York, Thursday night is mostly clear. Coming into Friday, we'll see highs of 32 and lows of 24.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM,
Good
Nairobi.
morning, everybody, and we can see that lots of folks are tuned in today. James Mwangi says, good morning. Happy Bastille Day. Yes, it is Bastille Day in France, so it's a bank holiday. And he says, what a wonderful team. Sitting back to enjoy the conversation. Asante Sana, James. Sophia Damari is tuned in from Abu Dhabi. It's their weekend already. It's their Saturday. You know that, right? Julius Song says, good morning, Eric and Nd to the best channel in Kenya. And yo. Julius Kenyan Jewy says, good morning, Spice people. Kakumi Paul Moyes tuned in from Nairobi. Good morning from Dallas, Texas, USA. Alex says, Alex is here. It reminds me of that. Where is Alex? Reminds me of Yemi Alade song. I'm looking for my journey. Where's Alex?
Alex is here.
So this gentleman had misplaced his Johnny.
Misplaced his Johnny.
I see. Let's move on swiftly.
Okay. Charles Kimani says, good.
Moving on swiftly.
Charles is locked in. Charles is locked in from Seattle. Bill Benedict says love. So, sprinklings to you and all these good things. Spice team watching from Portland, Oregon. Peaceful demo in Kenya only happens if not directed to the government of the day. What? Okay. Mashari and Jeru. George Biketti says good morning. Good morning, Eric Ndo and CT. Someone said yesterday that you should get into another seat. Why? The Africana says, good morning, Situation Room from the north of Qatar. George Biketi, we see you. Jeremiah Mutai says, good morning, tune in from Witefie in Kiambu County. Gladys Waivaka says, good morning. Bwakire Naki Mobogete. Did I butcher it completely? Bwakire Naki Mobogete. Mobogete. Mobogiti.
I think.
Bwakire.
Should I stop?
Naki Mobogete.
No, you're saying
Mobogete. Is it Mobogete?
You're very. I like the Mobogiti thing.
You like that one?
Mobogiti. That sounds more like it.
Okay.
Mobogete. Mobogete. Ednah says it's Bwakire. Say Ednah. Bwakire Naki Mobogete. Good morning. Mumeamukaje.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So essentially, you're being asked, have you murdered Noble Gite?
I've gated well, thanks. Hey, okay. Thank you, Gladys. The 2000 says, good morning from, now that you've been asking people from down under to greet you, they're greeting you every day. Adelaide in Australia is where he's tuned in from. Pete Moore is I don't know how to say it, Maika no Maya. Huh? Maisha no Maya.
This is the only life.
All right.
Yes.
Hapa kunaga tuko locked.
The life is this one.
Kanunga.
Life is this one. Kanunga.
Kanunga is where he is.
Uh-huh.
Linda Gola, that music is the bomb, she says. Yes. Desmond Otis says, good morning. I'm tuning in from Uhanya Beach in Bondo City. Karibu Wretch. Karibu. Fish.
Wretch is fish.
All right. What a show. What a morning. City Muga can't watch the video. City was watching the video. Do not be fooled. Okay. Keep quiet. She was watching. Brian Otieno says, good morning. Justimo, Friday mood activated. Agnes Akinyi. Say good morning for Agnes. Every day she needs you to just say good morning.
Good morning, Agnes.
Good morning, Agnes.
Eric, say it again. Where? Okay, suddenly everybody jumped in. Jared, Lundu, Lamech, Fadil, Desmond, Samuel, David, John, George, Jamal, Lawrence, Chris. Everybody just jumped in all of a sudden. We see you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Palpitation. Thank you. That's it. He palpates. The doctor palpates your stomach. That's it.
I don't leave it in the back.
Thank you very much, Ruben.
Oh, it's Ruben.
It's Ruben who did like that. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Karibu sana. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. So I'm looking for the meaning of the word palpitations, the way I knew it.
No, there's palpitation.
And then there's palpa.
And there's palpate.
Palpate.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. So he's a palpator. Okay.
Prodding.
To palpate.
You're palpating for it.
You're palpating. Stop palpating here, City. Can you give us the proverb?
Yes. Our final proverb from the country of Sudan. Yes. One of the richest countries on this continent and in the world when it comes to archaeological sites.
Yeah.
Yes. By the time UNESCO decides that they are designating sites and calling them UNESCO designated sites, my friend, it means that the usefulness and the value to mankind has been established beyond doubt. Right. Now, when you live with Arabs, either do what they do or move away.
When you live with Arabs, do what they do or move away.
Yes.
When in Rome.
The Romans usually to move away. These ones at least need to move away.
If you're not going to do like us, get out.
Yes, we go.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. That's a good one. Let's look at the headlines.
All right. On the front page of the Standard today, deadly aftermath, looking at the results of what happened on Wednesday. President yesterday accused Azimio leader of leading criminal gang and blaming him for the damage to property. But the opposition retorted, saying it is government agents who went on a killing spree. A day after the riots, tear gas children recuperate in hospitals as activists condemn the attacks. A church that tells the president to listen to the cries of Kenyans. If not, instability will follow. And families come to terms with the death of children, mothers and fathers in protests. Okay, so the High Court has come and done a thing and said, hey, no. Kioni Murave, stay where you are for now. We'll talk about that in a minute. DCI has blamed ministry officials and KNEC for the exams leakage. Remember there was allegations of exam leakage? Now, the DCI, after their investigations, have said this thing came from inside. It's not possible. How else would it have been leaked? We'll look at the details of that story. Treasury's overdraft at CBK has hit 79 billion shillings. The limit for an overdraft for Treasury from the CBK is 80.5 billion shillings. So, we're just at the edge.
We're right there.
Right. On the front page of The Nation, call to ceasefire. A mounting toll. Pressure is piling on President William Ruto and Azimio Chief Raila Odinga to resume talks aimed at ending the anti-government protests that have left behind a trail of deaths and injuries, disrupted livelihoods and led to business losses, looting and destruction of property. But amid the truce calls, the rival camps are digging in, with the president vowing to go after Mr. Odinga and his handshake partner, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the opposition chief promising a continuation of the civil disobedience next Wednesday. The question is, when will the voice of reason prevail?
So church leaders have come out again.
Church leaders have come out and said,
religious
you know what?
leaders.
The voice that you need to listen to is Kenyans. And that's what the church is saying. Otherwise, there will be a stickier situation than what we currently are experiencing.
They're telling who? The warlords?
They're telling both of them.
The warlords.
Not so fast, High Court says. It stops the removal of Murade and Kioni from Jubilee. And they've suspended the removal of both of them. And we'll look at details of that as well. How cousin gouged out baby Sagini's eyes. The court was told of how baby Sagini's cousin, aunt and grandmother drank changa in celebration of what they had done. Very sad story that we remember, of course. We'll look at the details of that. Kenyans have invaded forests after the lifting of the logging ban, according to the CS. Well, what did you expect? Back page of the Nation. It's looking at that. They're looking for charcoal in the forests, is what we are being told by Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya. They've come into the forest after the lifting of the ban, and she's a bit worried about that. That's what I have.
Oh, she's worried. Anyway, okay. The Business Daily, front page. State finds buyer for 15 billion shillings stake in Portland Cement. 15 billion shillings here happens to be only 30%. The government has found a deep-pocketed buyer for a 30% stake in East African Portland Cement Company for 15 billion shillings in a deal that's likely to trigger a fresh fight for control of the cement firm facing insolvency. Industry PS Juma Muhwana told the National Assembly that the Ministry of Investment, Industry and Trade had approved a turnaround plan that will see a strategic investor buy a 30% shareholding in the company. He says the deal is now only waiting President William Ruto's approval. We were to meet the president yesterday, that's Wednesday, but the meeting has been rescheduled to next week. We have approved a proposal between the National Treasury, NSSF and Lafarge that we get a strategic investor to buy a 30% shareholding in Portland. A strategic partner will also bring money, new blood and management as we move to turn around the company. Muhwana, who did not disclose who the new buyer is, said the proposal will see the Treasury, NSSF and the French firm Lafarge cede part of their shares to create a 30% stake for the new investor. All right, now that is Portland, company that is facing insolvency. They have identified somebody who will take up a 30% stake in it. And, okay. Higher. This company is no longer a cement company. This is prime real estate.
Yep.
Okay? Portland is thousands upon thousands of prime land. Ngoja uone hii kampuni. Ukiona samiti imetoka kwa hii kampuni. Call me.
Okay.
Call me Mufasa. Desperate for loans, Kenya offers the highest returns in 7 years. The Kenyan government is increasingly borrowing more expensive loans from the domestic market in a trend that has set up households and businesses for a new season of costly loans. Can you imagine the interest rate on a 1-year treasury bill, which sets the benchmark for determining interest rates charged on other borrowers, was at 12.45% this week. 1-year T-bill 12.4%. That's a 7-year high. 5-year bond, 16.8%. The Treasury plans to borrow some 586 billion shillings in the domestic market to fund the budget. The average loan rate stood at 13.2%, a 5-year high. Loans at households stood at 13.3%, up from 12.2% last year. Now, this, with a new bond, actually, that the Treasury now is thinking of coming to the market with 17% for a 5-year bond. It means that if you and I go to the market, the bank looks at you. If the bank is at 17%, let's add risk, let's add your name, let's add how you look like, let's 24%. Can you imagine?
The madness.
The people who are currently servicing a loan, and you maybe took that loan at 12%, 13%, suddenly you will be pushed up in your repayments. What? This is absolute madness. It's not looking good at all.
At all.
At all. I have the Nairobians. Today is Friday.
It is.
Today is Friday.
There's a story on page 10 where there's somebody who says, "Help me now. Don't wait until I die." He's a post-election violence survivor. Says, you know what, don't wait to come and cry crocodile tears at my funeral. Then there was that very sad story of the priest who died in Muranga. Yeah? So the Nairobian is doing that whole thing. Missionary underneath the cloth. Another headline here is that girl who was found murdered alongside her Nigerian boyfriend.
Yes.
She was called Kanini. Now the family is saying Kanini was a go-getter. They're basically just mourning her and describing how she is. A big one again on the Nairobian today. They are still looking at the demographic health survey, which was showing very many things, and they're looking at one aspect of that survey where apparently 93% of women in Machakos County would deny their husbands conjugal rights after cheating. If the husband is caught cheating, the wife will 93.5% of the women, of the wives in Machakos would
deny
say
their
no more. Kisumu 92%, Trans Nzoia 91%, Nyeri 90% of the women who were surveyed said, my husband cheats, that's it. He will not get any more rights from me. Yeah, so they're saying don't get caught if you still want love from a Machakos, Trans Nzoia, Kisumu or Nyeri wife.
How about that for a warning?
Do not get caught. City?
Yes.
Vesta.
Top right-hand corner in burnt brown.
Like your shirt.
It's very close.
That is burnt brown.
No, that's orange. Him, he says burnt brown, but it's burnt orange.
You know orange. This thing is not orange.
It is burnt.
Okay. Why collecting signatures to remove President Ruto won't work? That's in the Siasa pages of the Star. Then, bottom of the page, before I get to the headlines, is a massive picture staring at me. Horror of men raped by men. Survivors recount their ordeals. This is a story on page 4 and 5.
Good grief.
Suffer in silence. Yes. ODM disciplinary action summons rebel MPs as Raila cracks whip on renegades. Okay, and then bang in the middle of the page, meeting, both president and ODM leader have planned functions in regions this weekend. Okay, both the president and Raila are planning to have meetings in Nyanza.
Okay.
Let's call it Nyanza, Luo Nyanza to be specific.
This weekend.
This weekend.
Safi.
Right. Arrest looms as Raila Ruto head to Nyanza. 132 people, including ODM Deputy Leader Oparanya and Movoko MP Macau, arrested. That's the story on page 7. Yes.
Even your mambo ilivyo.
Then there's a picture of the Minister for Transport, one
Kipchumba.
Yes, with the CEO of the Expressway, together with high-ranking official of government, together with the high-ranking V8s.
Together with the road.
Together with high-ranking V8s.
Yes, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are quite a number here. Yes, examining the destruction that occurred in Mlolongo. And they placed the cost at 700 million.
Hiyo tutaongea.
Yes, most definitely.
Haya. 25 to 7, tell us about the roads.
Okay. Most of it is happening right around Jogoo Road this morning. As you get towards Landis, it's going to pick up a little bit and then out towards the CBD. Uhuru Highway is already looking pretty busy right about now. And on the thicker superhighways, when we now see traffic has built up after survey, you're going to use the service lanes all the way till survey, and then you're going to get off that and have to wait it out a bit as you're getting through towards Pangani. Murang'a Road is busy as you get towards the Globe Cinema overpass, and we see some building up coming out of Westlands on Waiyaki Way. So it's just beginning. It's probably going to start off a little bit late today because, Friday and all that. We'll see some outbound traffic as well. But for now, this is what it looks like, and it's slim pickings at the moment. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter. We want to keep things moving whichever way this Friday.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
There's a story that has come out of the courts.
Yeah.
Apart from the whole Jubilee thing, blah, blah, which the court has reinstated Kioni Murave amid Jubilee leadership intrigues. They've said, go ahead, do this. Reinstated them, and Justice Asana Thongeri has suspended a Gazette notice issued by the Registrar of Political Parties and Derrito, and they've given the East Africa Legislative Assembly member Kanini Kega and his team, she had given them the reins to the party. High Court comes in and says, well, not so fast.
Hold on.
Just wait until the determination of 1, 2, 3 by said date. That's when we'll come back and have a look at this. But essentially, they're back. So this musical chairs that Jubilee's playing, I don't know when it's going to end, but, it's like a shiny toy that you can look at every now and then when you're bored. Let's look at the story that I really wanted to look at coming from the courts. The court makes it illegal to force any staff to work on a day of worship. A day of worship, according to their religion, if you force them to work, it is illegal, and you could come into a problem for that.
Okay.
It is illegal for an employer to force an employee to work on his or her worship day, according to the Employment and Labour Relations Court. In a landmark judgment on labour rights, Justice Bernard Manani declared it against the rights of worship and discrimination for an employer to put an employee in a fix to choose between God and work. Following the finding, Justice Manani ordered Nairobi Women's Hospital to pay Scolin Anyango 2.5 million shillings in unfair termination. He was of the view that in as much as Anyango's involvement in a budget meeting, which she was to attend, was important to the hospital, her right to worship was equally significant, and it ought to have balanced the two. Justice Manani asked why the hospital could not schedule the meeting on a later date when all managers were available. He observed that in the arrangement between Nairobi Women's Hospital and Anyango, she was required to attend work one Saturday of every month. There is no doubt that the respondent, which was Nairobi Women's, budget-making process was of critical importance to it. It is also clear to me that the claimant, Anyango, freedom of religion was of equal importance or significance to her. The Constitution obligated that the respondent respect and protect this right. It was up to the respondent to find a way of balancing its business interests with the claimant's freedom of religion without prejudicing the latter. He further found the hospital's arrangement was putting the employee between a rock and a hard place. The evidence on record leaves me with little doubt that the claimant had been subjected to unnecessary hardship at the workplace because of her religious beliefs. Her faith requires her to observe the Sabbath every Saturday. Yet there is evidence that the respondent made every effort to push the claimant into compromising on this requirement. Anyango, a Seventh-day Adventist, worked with the hospital as a manager until April 5th, 2018, when she was fired. So, I mean, they went through...
So she was meant to go to work on Saturday.
Yes.
She's an Adventist.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, on this particular day, they were having a budget meeting. And they said that essentially for them as the hospital was the straw that broke the camel's back. She was not at the budget meeting. She had some critical information to share and to be shared with, and she did not attend. And because of that, they said, look, this has been piling up. Thank you. Nail in the coffin. Summary dismissal. So she said, excuse me? No, thank you. Went to court. And this is what the court has ruled.
So now court says no.
Court says no, you cannot do that.
You can't force
she has a
somebody
right
on
to
their day of
worship.
worship.
You cannot force her to work on the day when she should worship. And you should have actually thought of a time when all your managers could have been there. I mean, after all, there's Monday to Friday. Why did you not pick another suitable time? Why did you have to do it on Saturday? So they said, now, because of that, you think about it. Days of worship, Friday, Saturday.
So if a majority
Sunday.
of people say they're Christians who worship on Sunday, can you imagine what happens to hospitals?
Hospitals.
So people have got then to be paid extra time. This is it.
This is it.
So you will not force them to work. What you'll do is you'll enter into an arrangement for some mode of compensation.
Absolutely.
What? What? Hiyo ni kitu kubwa. This which court again?
This is the Employment and Labor Relations Court.
That one.
That one. ELC, big boys and girls doing some shit.
Those ones are actually doing big things. And in fact, let me tell you what they'll be doing next week. They're having their annual symposium, the Employment and Labor Relations Court, at the KICC from the 17th. What day is the 17th? The
17th is Monday.
That's it. From Monday the 17th to 20th of July at the KICC. So the symposium will bring together employers, workers, institutions, SMEs, unions, among others, to discuss promotion of social justice and economic prosperity. It will be televised live on TV and online. The Employment and Labor Relations Court Annual Symposium. Hiyo ni kitu kubwa sana. Sana. This issue of increasing interest rates on the loans is a big one. Let me tell you something more about it. Investors have been demanding higher margins to hold the government securities as they factor in the effects of rising inflation on returns at a time when the government is looking to mop up funds from the domestic market after being locked out from external financing by exorbitant interest rates. Earlier this week, the CBK had to accept yields of 16.84% on a new bond with a tenure of just 5 years. That is a 17% basically, right? 17% for a 5-year bond. You lend the government, they'll pay it. Where? With commercial banks basing interest rates charged to customer loans on the government securities return, which is widely regarded as the risk-free rate, borrowers can expect to pay a higher premium to access funds from the respective banks. The cost of borrowing from commercial banks already set a new high of 60 months in May as borrowers felt the weight of the rising interest rate environment, while the average interest rate for household loan of between 1 and 5 years was at 13.37%. Now, this is just going to push things higher and higher up. And if you just look this and then juxtapose it with what the conversation we're having with Jimmy Wanjege, right? So the government is now preferring to come into the domestic market, and they're coming here more and more. 17% for a 5-year bond, that's a very expensive thing.
Ridiculously expensive.
That's a very, very, very high one. And this now ends up locking everybody else out of the market, which is what Jaindi Kisero writes in a column that he writes today. Don't starve private sector of credit. Don't starve the private sector of credit, because this is exactly what the government will be doing. When it goes to the market and offers banks 17%, this could even rise to 19% because the banks will realize, you're desperate.
No, how? You can even make it 30.
Yeah. This is just going to be chaotic. And where is the money going to?
But it's assumed that when you lend the government at this rate, that what you are assuming that everything remaining constant, you will reap big. You know, we have the example of Ghana.
Yep.
And that should sound a warning.
Yep.
Because when you have a situation where whatever profit you thought you'd make is erased, and your principal is revalued and 30% of your principal is gone.
Imagine. The government takes your money and then retains.
No apology. No, I beg, no thank you.
And then that money that you give them, they still have, and they're telling you the most likely time you will be able to get this money several years ahead. Essentially, you can't access the interest, you can't access your own money.
Yeah.
And it's yours.
Well, you know, people lend.
So you thought.
You put money in a bond.
You're lending
looking
the
at the half-yearly yields and all, and you're expecting, so I'll be getting money from the government in every 6 months. I'll be getting X amount of money as my interest from the bond that I placed in, and then at the end of the 5 years, I'll get my principal plus something. Now they're telling you we are giving you nothing.
And even that one that we owe you, because essentially, look, a bond is that you've lent the government money. That's essentially what you've done. So the money that we government borrowed from you, on top of us telling you that we're going to hive 30% off of it,
we're giving
even
you
the other way,
nothing.
even giving you little, we're giving you small.
Nothing.
Over the
But also remember that even as the government is telling you that, there is one thing that Jaindi Kisero mentions. When you release the money, not just to private firms, but also to individuals, the very thing that generates this growth in the economy that we speak of stems from that.
Yep.
When the government borrows, yes, you could argue that it's for projects, or you could argue it's for recurrent expenditure. But the point is, it doesn't necessarily spur business. It doesn't necessarily spur development. It doesn't.
No, I hear what you say. It's like, so essentially, it's not a guarantee that because you do this, this is what the end result will be.
And in this country, we don't have to suppose. We know it as a certainty. Okay? Now, when the business community and the individuals are allowed to borrow money, the economy most definitely grows. And if it isn't there, that growth, which would then spur an increase in what the government hopes to get through our taxes, is eliminated. So the government is eliminating the very base from which they expect to raise taxes. They, with their own action, they're eliminating it. And when people cannot survive on a day-to-day basis and yet are expected to pay taxes, what they then do, they will look for ways of avoiding to pay that tax.
Yes, they will.
This is not looking good at all. It's not looking good at all. And what you'd expect is at least the government to start, showing that it's slowing down on its spending. Government is just spending like nothing has changed.
It's like it's what you guys are saying. There's what? There's a problem.
Yeah.
Where? What problem?
It's just someone just coming and asking for the same money. It's crazy. It's crazy. They are still spending. And City, before you come into the story, this one of the Murkomen and the Expressway, it's something that was like, okay. So we saw the damage on the Expressway.
We did.
And yesterday we asked ourselves, Mlolongo does not witness this kind of, even when there are demonstrations.
You never do.
Mlolongo
you
people
don't
come
this.
out to
and even
that.
if they came out, they'd be around Mlolongo and they'd go back in.
Yes.
How could people just so spontaneously enter the Expressway and pull down all those barricades and do what that kind of damage that we saw?
And then get into residential areas?
Yes.
No.
That wasn't spontaneous at all. And it was clearly organized. Of course, we saw the allegation by Moses Kuria and the action of arresting the area MP. Now, we don't know how far those two are connected, whether there's some truth to it. Moses Kuria alleges that there are people who are unhappy because of what the ministry is doing with East Africa Portland Cement, removing squatters who have gone to squat on land owned by EAPCC in Athi River.
There are those who claim that this MP who was arrested in Macau, it is alleged that he is the one who organized some of these squatters to go and cause mayhem.
Basically just cause chaos.
Yes, but you see that narrative, unfortunately, is counterintuitive in this sense. It is possible that what is being alleged is true. But why does this story have to revolve around the Portland Cement and the land that it actually has? Because for the squatters to move in, it means that land was not occupied. That's how it works.
Yes.
The squatters didn't
chase other people.
No. They just moved into what they consider was empty.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the government, there's a 20 billion shillings that it's 20 billion, isn't it? Buying of the company. There's a conversation.
15 billion, 30%.
Yes. There's a conversation about it. Now you see, there is a similar conversation, but it's different with the Del Monte land. The lease on that land has expired.
Yep.
So now, if it's not renewed, the land goes back. Now, That's a different story, but that's land, and you can see the story. But this Portland cement land, there seems to be a fight for it. And if you look closely, you'll find that there are other people beyond what we're calling Portland cement who also own enterprises in that area.
That land has been invaded by many people.
Yes.
And they're organized. So you'll find, yes, there will be families who are actually landless and homeless who have ended up there.
Yes.
Putting up houses and living there. Yeah. But those ones are basically the front. As you know, that is what happens with squatters. Squatters are basically the front. There's somebody else who's
behind the squatters.
Yes. And Portland is thousands upon thousands of acres of land. So big issue. So anyway, damage happened on the expressway, right?
Yes.
A lot of damage. The CS in very many V8s under leadership of Moja Expressway, like you've told us, CT, they were there yesterday to inspect this damage. And they said it'll cost about $5 million. That's about 700 million shillings to repair those damages. Now, here's something that's interesting. Apparently, the contract that we, the people of Kenya, have with Moja Expressway says that if such kind of damage happens, we pay. Remember, the expressway is their road for the next 25 years.
Yes.
Okay? It's not ours. Moja Expressway is the one that's running and operating this road for the next 28. And when you use the road you're paying, that's how they're making their money back until the 28 years are over. But if anything happens like this, there's a damage, the taxpayer again pays. I'm wondering, why is the taxpayer paying for this private property demolition? Who is paying? Quickmart we saw in Mulolongo was damaged. Other shops were damaged. Who's going to pay for those?
The owners.
Why can't taxpayers pay for all those ones as well? Why are we paying for this private property?
Yeah.
This one we have Uhuru to thank for. And even the cost of that particular expressway.
We have him to thank. We have him to thank for giving us the responsibility to pay for any damages.
For that contract that we have, we have him to thank because that written in Chinese. It's him we have to thank.
No, you need to say the last part louder.
Written in Chinese. And arbitrated in Chinese. Sorry, in China, that's the country. Yes. But again in Chinese. Yes.
Yeah.
It makes this expressway just about the most expensive road this planet has ever seen.
Ever.
So here we are.
They demolished our road. Okay.
Yes. Left it in pieces.
We have paid to repair our road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which they damaged. While building their road.
Yeah.
Now they are operating their road. Something happens on their road, we pay them.
We also pay them
for it to be fixed, so that they can continue using the road and charging and take the money and put in their pockets.
And in fact, there's more than that. There's still another bill that they have not calculated. For the hours that they closed the road,
they've lost money.
Then they're
going to put
we will pay.
It's the stinkiest nonsense.
For the hours that they closed that road, we are going to pay for the revenue lost.
Okay.
Plus pay for the damages.
If you want to understand the priorities that we have, a couple of weeks ago, literally a couple, we had this horrific accident in Londiani.
Yes.
54 people passed away.
Yes.
The stories that we in the media carried, I particularly loved because it focused on the people.
Yeah.
Lives lost. Lives.
Human beings.
Yes, the human element. Okay? But having focused on that, why that accident occurred, I have not heard. We were told the brakes failed. What make of vehicle was it? What are the likelihoods that the brakes would fail on such a vehicle, and what circumstances would bring this about? And what is it that on our roads we need to be cognizant of? Because that isn't the only place the slope. There have been places in this country with some serious slopes.
And they use them every day.
Yes, especially if you look at the Kijabe route,
yes,
where the lorries are supposed to be diverted. My friend, that escarpment is steep.
Yeah.
And that's where the lorries go. What is this thing that we need to know about this accident? The people died.
Yep.
One of the things that we heard again was people lost property and there were estimates. Okay? Then we come to Mandamano. The damage is obvious, it is clear, some people are culpable and they must be brought to book.
Yeah.
The call for Mandamano, that was not Mandamano, whatever it was we need to know what it was, but it was not Mandamano. 7 people lost their lives. There's a mother whose child was going to study ICT, whose child is no more. There's another boy in Migori who had come home to collect fees. Shot in the thigh, maybe a blood vessel, a key blood vessel was nicked. The guy died. Children were tear gassed.
They're still in hospital.
Everything that is damaged can be repaired and replaced at a cost. People whose shops have been looted, hopefully if you had insurance, but do they really insure those things? Act of God. I don't think so. But they can be replaced. How do you replace a life? And we are putting the value of this loss at 700 million. What value should we put on these lives?
On the lives lost.
Yeah, well, how much should we? Well, how should we quantify it? The future of this child, these children, we do not know what they are going to be. The next president, the next thug in chief. We don't know what it is these guys are going to be. So how do we quantify their lives? What is the value of their lives? 14 policemen were injured. Some hospitalized. How do we quantify this injury? Now we go to Sondu.
And people are now having bows and arrows.
Yes. Reminiscent of what we call the tribal clashes of a time gone by in the 90s. So, how do we quantify these interactions that human beings have with each other, Kenyans, and it turns violent? How do we quantify it? Because the conversation from the two sides, the two protagonists, is one side, the people must listen. The other side, we are for the people. Really, people are dying. How are you for people who are dying? And how are you protecting the lives of people when they are dying?
That's why I call them warlords.
How?
Both sides, eh? The religious leaders who are coming out yesterday to say, okay, calm down. This is not the first time the religious leaders are actually calling for calm and conversation around this matter, right? We have been told by none other than Anglican Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit, the attempts that they have tried to reach out to both sides and say, all right, how do we move forward? These are warlords. People who just sit back and say, mutakipata, tutapelekana, and the other one said, atunyamazi mpaka mtusikize. These are warlords.
Do you know the whole...
For them, it doesn't matter. You hear 7 people have died. Good. 7, eh? Now, watch out. Pressure is building. Pressure is building.
Do you know, the issue that this country is grappling with is lost now. We're talking about repairs, the billions that were lost per day. That's the focus. The focus is on you will see, and the other person, you are the one who will actually see. And it goes back and forth. And the conversation about the issues that are bedeviling this country, they will tell you, but it is for the people. How exactly? This one I really want to understand. No, seriously, I really do want to understand it. How? Okay, the government is pressurized. Let's take the view that the government is pressurized and the government decides to step down.
And then
okay, then what do we do?
Yeah, that's the thing. And then
what do we do?
Yeah.
Will we suddenly have the price of maize going down instantly? What is this thing that we will then see?
Will the coffers suddenly be full?
I was rather hoping that the opposition would be telling us of what they would do. So when and if this government, should the most unlikely thing happen, the government steps down, they tell us the things we said we're going to do are these. We don't know what they want to do. Because the story ends with this government must go. Okay, we've gotten that one. Okay, it has gone. Then?
Next. What happens?
These people who lost loved ones, then what? It's happened before.
Them back?
It's happened before. What happened? It becomes a story. Baby Pendo, we are still talking about Baby Pendo today.
Imagine.
So...
It's just
the Mwananchi is the one who needs to wake up. It's not these leaders. Them, the track they are on is like a railway track. The corner he takes is the one which is already predetermined.
We are the ones who we're the ones who are facing the brunt of we're bearing the brunt of this. Nisisi. These guys, like Chief Justice Emeritus Willie Mutunga tweeted yesterday, you two find yourselves, this political and leadership class, you're on one side, we the citizens are on the other side. Don't tell us that you're talking about us, the people. No way. 7 a.m. though, it's time for the news.
spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The government is creating a friendly environment that will attract more foreign investments to Kenya. President William Ruto said the government will also routinely refine its policies to make it more facilitative for businesses to operate in the country. He was speaking at State House, Nairobi, during the Kenya-Saudi Arabia business delegation meeting. Led by the Saudi Arabia Minister of Investment Khalid Al-Fali, the delegation, made up of 30 major firms, is one of the largest single business group ever to undertake a visit to Kenya. And 7 ODM MPs labelled rebels have been asked to appear before the party's disciplinary committee next week for questioning. The chairperson of the committee, Professor Ben Sihanya, has asked the MPs, including Nairobi County Women Representative Esther Passarit, to present themselves before the committee and defend themselves at a time when ODM has started the process of kicking them out of the party. Others who have been asked to appear before the committee include Suba South Member of Parliament Karoli Omonde, Mark Nyamita Uriri, Bondo MP Gideon Ochanda, Elisha Odhiambo of Game, Felix Odiwuor of Langata, Rongo's Paul Abur, and Kisumu Senator Tom Ojenda. Migori Senator Eddie Gisheru Okech, who is the petitioner in the matter, wants the party to expel the MPs for violating Political Parties Act. The article states that any member will be considered to have resigned from the party if he promotes the intentions and policies of another party. The hearing will be held at Chunga House. Meanwhile, the push and pull pitting the government and the opposition continues as the opposition continues to insist that they will continue with the anti-government protest with the demands that the Kenya Kwanza government addresses the high cost of living. It is first speech since Wednesday's demonstrations that saw the destruction of critical infrastructure, loss of lives and disruption of the economy. President William Ruto linked retired President Uhuru Kenyatta to the demos by saying that Kenyatta is working with Odinga to destabilize his government due to the challenges that are affecting the whole world. President William Ruto vowing that his government will not allow Kenya to be returned to a dictatorial leadership.
Today, you are sponsoring anarchy with your sponsor and handshake brother so that you can enslave this country. I want to promise that you will not succeed again. Watu wakilipwa pesa wavunje mali, waharibu barabara, walete maafa, walete fujo. Gharama ya maisha itarudi chini kwa njia gani?
This is Azimio leader Raila Odinga has maintained that the protest will continue, asking President William Ruto to get rid of his threats directed to opposition leaders as well as Kenyans, claiming that demonstrating is a constitutional right. In a press conference, Raila, who was accompanied by fellow leaders, also made it clear that the protest will resume Wednesday next week, while encouraging Kenyans to turn out in large numbers.
Tumesema Jumatano ijao tena Kenya yote watajumuika. Tutakuwa na kamkunji ingine Jumatano ijayo. Wapende wasipende watashika sisi zote hapa Eugene, lakini baada ya hayo Kalonzo nyingine atatokea, Martha nyingine atatokea, Eugene nyingine atatokea, Wairia. Hii ni kama mto Nile imetoka Jinja inaelekea kule bahari ya Shamu.
Despite the strong stand by the opposition, President William Ruto's supporters continue to ask him not to cooperate with Raila and his government, accusing him of crippling the Jubilee government after President Uhuru Kenyatta decided to cooperate with him in his second term of office. Sentiments the head of state has welcomed, saying that he will not budge to the opposition's demands.
Na wewe rais, usisikiza mtu yeyote anajaribu kuleta hiyo mtu karibu na wewe, kwa sababu chanzo cha shida ya Kenya ilianza na Raila Odinga na kikomo ya shida ya Kenya itaisha na Raila Odinga. Mnasema ni mkalie ngumu. Hiyo ni amri. Mnajua sasa nyinyi ndio mmeniajiri. Wewe kaa ngumu, usikubali kusonga hii kata nchi moja kwa sababu hiyo mjamaa anafanya maandamano, kwa sababu tunajua wewe ni muungwana and you are a brave man.
For the field and a second consultative technical team meeting involving various stakeholders of the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo peace process was held in Goma, Democratic Republic of Congo, to discuss various issues highlighted in the Luanda and Nairobi processes. The closed-door session majorly discussed matters of cantonment and confidence-building measures among the warring parties in the eastern part of DRC. In his opening remarks, the facilitator, former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, said the meeting, unlike others held outside DRC, had been convened in Goma as an indication of all stakeholders' commitment to helping the Congolese people find lasting peace solutions to their conflict. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Getting into Friday morning traffic, looking at Jogoo Road, getting into the city. Landis Road, as you approach the Kamkunji roundabout, is where it's busiest right now. On the Thika Superhighway, in from the Outer Ring Junction, just beyond GSU, very heavy as you get towards the Pangani Underpass and then out towards the city. The service lanes will help out this morning. Use them. It'll do you some good. The Northern Bypass giving some traffic off onto Kiambu Road. But if you're on Limu Road, coming out towards the city, you'll be fine. Not much in terms of traffic there, but James Kishore very busy as you touch then on Wayaki Way. Are you on Gong Road? You'll be fine getting into the CBD. Coming off of Magadi Road and then through to Langata Road, you're all right there as well. We're just going to keep an eye on things and see how they open up closer to 8 o'clock. But for now, it's just begun. Let us know what's going on where you are. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter and keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your...
on this 14th day of July 2023. Happy Friday. This is the day... Okay. April. Hey, it's a day. It's the April day. It's the 14th day of the month. All right, let's wait and hear what they'll tell us. Welcome if you're just joining us on KTN Home. We are live on Spice FM and also live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook. Here every weekday morning, having Kenya's biggest conversation and also rallying people to spread a smile across the country to people who don't have access to safe drinking water. Working with Colgate and Naivas. Colgate are telling you if you go into Naivas supermarket today or if you even purchase from the Naivas online portal, their vibrant e-commerce platform, you buy Colgate, you will be helping at least 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 over 150,000 people across the country who are going to benefit from 30 water wells that Colgate and partners are sinking in various communities. Now, this is important because there are many people who don't have access to that safe drinking water. So buying Colgate helps to build 30 wells for 150,000 lives. It's a big thing and it's important to have it. Let's have a conversation, and our guests are in the studio. Ednah Ngado is a Child Health and Development Program Lead, and George Otieno is Somesha Program Lead at an organization called the Action Foundation. Esther and George, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Karibuni sana. It's cold out there. Or is it warmer today? So it's been cold in here. So we don't even remember how it was out there. Karibuni sana, you'll tell us about the Action Foundation. And particularly, we want to talk about nurturing care and early learning opportunities for children with disabilities. It's a big conversation to have. But to welcome you, CT has the day's proverb. This week's proverbs have been from Sudan.
Yes, they are. And this is our final proverb from the country of Sudan. That is Khartoum, Sudan, not Juba, Sudan, northern Sudan, which is next to southern Egypt. Okay. When you live with Arabs, either do what they do or move away.
When you live with Arabs, either do what they do or move away.
Yeah, that's the choice.
Maudone Maya.
One choice.
George,
yes.
What do you make of that proverb?
think it's quite interesting. If we bring it back to our level, I think I must say that I love the statement that it states, if you live with the Arabs, you either stay with them or you walk away. I think we need to move with the atmosphere. Whatever happens within the surrounding is upon us to adjust within it. If we cannot, we better change our living style. Like, for example, we talked about being cold outside there. It's upon me to keep warm. If I don't keep warm, I'll bear the consequences. Yes.
Esther, what's your interpretation?
I think it's raw, very raw, it's real. It talks about adaptation. It speaks to adopting with different settings, different situations, different challenges of life. You have to respond, be responsive to adopt, or you'll be left behind or simply walk away, as it says. Yes.
The Action Foundation, that's where you work. What is the Action Foundation?
Okay, the Action Foundation is a community-based organization. It's registered in Kenya. We work in the low-resource areas in Nairobi. We reach children with disabilities, just to be able to provide the services that are otherwise unreachable to them or too expensive for them. Yeah, and we hope to empower them, just to help change their lives for better. Yeah.
In how many communities are you?
We are in the 4 low-resource areas in Nairobi. That's Kawangware, Mukuru kwa Jenga, Kibera, and Mathare.
Which one is Mukuru kwa Jenga?
That one, I think, in pipeline.
Yeah, there's several Mukurus. Kwa Ruben, kwa Jenga. Which other Mukuru? So the Mukuru kwa Jenga is the one behind pipeline.
Yes.
Okay. And you said so Kawangware, Mukuru kwa Jenga, where else?
Mathare. And Kibera.
All right. So you, as the Child Health and Development Programs lead, what do you do?
Our department is quite big. We do quite a number of things. To begin with, we offer early intervention services for children with disabilities. So here we do disability assessment and early intervention through occupational therapy. We also do nutrition as part of our rehabilitative services. We also offer assistive devices, locally made and affordable, low cost, just to help support this child with disability to do their everyday activities. We also do psychosocial support for the caregivers of these children, just to be able to support them to better care for their children. For the caregivers also, we do capacity building, where we build their capacity to take care of a child with disabilities, the know-how of doing that. For the caregivers also, we do caregiver economic empowerment. We understand it's expensive to care for a child with disability, their hospital bills, their medications. So we offer street business school, where we teach them how to do business. And also, depending on the funding, we offer seed money for them to be able to start their kibanda or to be able to start their shop to sell whatever they're interested in. Yeah, so that's what we do.
When it comes to disabilities, there is physical disability, sensory disability, neurodiverse disabilities. And of course, when you're talking about children at the early stages, physical disability you could immediately identify. But now these other disabilities, especially the neuro ones and developmental disabilities, how do you identify those? How do you help the communities deal with that? George?
So thank you very much. I think under that, the reason as to why we take it as an early age, because in disability, we believe that if you go for early identification, you'll get the early prognosis. So during that process, we partner even with the government, in terms of a Minister of Health, to help in doing an assessment, because we have that medical assessment where we get the diagnosis of the condition. So when we come in through as an action foundation, we now try to bring in intervention at this particular point. So we also offer the educational assessment, in which we give them proper placement to guide on how intervention will take place. For example, if we get a child who has been diagnosed with even cerebral palsy, it is upon us as the Action Foundation to try and bridge that gap, because we found out that most children with disability have been left behind when it comes to access of education. So we work together with the government schools and the AFBET schools, that is the schools within the informal settlements, through capacity building of the teachers. How are they able to handle this kind of children in schools? What are the intervention measures? How are they supposed to conduct their activities in schools, in collaboration also with the teachers? So we do a lot of capacity building and material making. Yes.
You know, the work that you do, just from what you've said, doesn't sound to me like a walk in the park. It doesn't sound like it's simple or it's easy.
Sure.
Because you are dealing with a community of citizens who, by and large, are neglected, or at least the help that they need is often not considered, or they don't actually get it. Now, let me go to the basics. In the areas that you work in, do you start by determining how many people actually, one, live with disabilities? How many of them are cases that perhaps need immediate or quick action? Do you have a schedule? Do you have a plan by which you hope to reach the numbers that you've identified as being people living with disabilities? And if so, do you have the capacity to meet these needs? And if not, do you have partners with whom you work closely within the community, beyond the government, so that you can actually help alleviate the problems that these people living, or these citizens living with disability have? I know I've asked you some like around 20 questions. Just pick any two.
Yes. I'm going to pick any two. Of course, it's not easy work. It takes a lot of passion to do the work we do. With regards to the disability numbers, currently it's estimated that we have around 900,000 children with disabilities in Kenya. So with regards to being able to identify their needs is where people like George come in, where they do the disability assessments and they're able to determine the need of this child. So based on the need of this child, the intervention measures are provided. Does this child need therapy? Does this child need proper nutrition? Does this child need a special kind of routine or a special kind of treatment? Some challenges are surgical, they are correctable by surgery. Some are long-term, like for therapy, it's long-term. So after the assessment is where we are able to determine the needs of this child and then appropriate interventions.
So George, what are some of the needs that we're looking at, children with disabilities in Kenya? What would you say are some of the most prevalent needs that these children are facing?
First of all, I think when it comes to matters of education, they have really been left behind a lot. Because if you look at as a country, even me personally, when I was growing up, the only kind of disability I knew of were the four: the visually impaired, hearing impaired, physical, and the intellectual disability. So when it comes to other hidden types of disability like the autism, we're talking about the neurological diverse needs, most of them, people don't still understand them. Even today, you meet a caregiver, they will tell you that if I carry my child to this kind of an office, I will be told, wewe mtoto wako ako sawa. It means that these people still don't understand this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think the attitude of the community is still wanting. That's the reason as to why we as the Action Foundation, we come in with the 4 interventions. Number 1, we're talking about the nurturing care. which my colleague has talked about. Then we have the education section of it, the somesha. And then we have other two components, because if you look at disability, you need to tackle it in an holistic approach. Like, for example, there is this child, and disability, comes with stigmatization. So the caregiver, that parent, the financial aspect of it. So as the Action Foundation, as we are dealing with the child, the parent is not left behind. They're incorporated in empowerment, such that by the end of the day, you find that the intervention touches the household of this particular child. Yes.
Do all children with disabilities, obviously their needs are different. We can't lump them all in the same and say,
Yes.
So are some able to be in educational institutions, schools, like others? And what would they need, even if they were in the same general population with everybody else who doesn't have those needs?
So when it comes to education, I think each and every child has the right to go to school. So it is us who defines, who brings those kind of barriers that this one is not able. Because I'm trying to look into, for example, you go to an institution for even children with intellectual disability, you find a child has the ability even to make the mat. And another one is not able to do the academic work, the cognitive aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it is upon us to look into the ability of that child, not in terms of education, but in terms of what this child can do. That's the reason as to why, as the Action Foundation, we've also went a step further and identified there's a tool that we are working on called the home-based learning, where we are going to help parents, even back at home, for those who are not able to go to school, they will be able to do home-based learning using this toolkit. So that by the end of the day, we want to see that each and every child is able to acquire a little bit of basic learning despite their condition and the area in which they are.
You're assuming that with this home-based learning, that all the parents who have children with disability are literate, aren't you?
No, we can't take that for granted. That's the reason as to why we are going to partner with the CHV. So there will be capacity building.
Who are CHV?
These are the community health volunteers who work in the communities. They are going to be our gate pass to the communities. So we are going to work together with the parent so that we ensure that this document or skill is cascaded down to the child.
Have you piloted this scheme? Have you tried it out somewhere to see how it works?
That is what we are doing currently.
It's piloted now?
It is being piloted now.
So how many places are you piloting it in?
We are still working within Nairobi, because my colleague has talked about the 4 areas that we are working with. That is Mukuru, Kibera, Kawangware, and Madare. Like, for example, yesterday we had a training with the caregivers from the 3 sections.
Okay.
So after piloting within Nairobi, we are going to roll it out to other 17 counties.
What did you train the caregivers in?
How to handle the module itself. Because the module is categorized into 4 areas. We have something we call the activities of daily living and religious activities. We have the sensory, motor, and social activities. We have the orientation and mobility. Then we have the pre-numeracy skills. So these are just subheadings containing the content that should be given to the child in preparation, because we know that not all of them will go to school. So those people, those children, depending on the severity of the disability, who are not able to get to the school environment, will be helped with this kind of document. Because, for example, if I talk about the activities of daily living, these are just adaptive skills that makes people hygienically okay. So, for example, a child who is having intellectual disability, most of them do not know how to keep themselves clean. So if this document is there, it will help a caregiver on how to instruct a child to do those kind of things. For example, if we talk about the toileting, we know this is a very important aspect of a child, and it's also very difficult for the parents to train children on this, and specifically for now a child with disability. Yes.
This particular model that you're using, where was it developed, and has it been tweaked to suit the needs of the population here, or is the process of piloting going to give you a clear idea of how the people within these areas you live in will respond to it?
Yeah, the document was developed here in Kenya in partnership with the Minister of Education and the KICD, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. So we are just waiting for their approval so that we can roll it out. And in the meantime, we are doing the piloting so that in the due course, we will be able to get in some insights that will make us make the document even better, suit the children back at home.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, when you talk about informal settlements in Nairobi, like you've mentioned these 4 areas, Kawangware, Nakuru, Njenga, Mathare and Kibera, many of them do not have access to public education, right?
Yes.
We have about 6,000 informal schools in Nairobi alone. Over 500,000 children in these schools, right? So already when it comes to education, these communities are disadvantaged because they don't have access to public education, which means they don't have access to TSC teachers. They don't have access to qualified assistants, you know. So even the testing, just to know that this child is actually facing a learning disability and all, is a skill that the local teachers in these local schools do not have. So how do you come in to identify and help to identify that this child who is going to this school, aside from the visible disabilities, the other learning disabilities, how do you identify them so that the child who is going to that local informal kindergarten is picked out immediately and then they are given the right assistance?
So, for example, we partner with the Minister of Education to help us do this. Then we, apart from the public...
How do you do it with ministry?
So first of all, we are in partnership with the Minister of Education. So whenever we want to kind of do an outreach activity, we go through them because we know that through the Minister of Education, we have qualified EACS officers.
Who?
EAC officers, that is
what
Educational Assessment and Resource Center officers.
Educational Assessment Resource Center
officers.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're the people who...
Officer at the end.
Yes. Or with the new terminologies, they are called the Curriculum Support Officers Special Needs. Yes. So we work with them. Like, for example, in Nairobi, we have one based at Jogoo Road. So, for example, when we want to conduct an educational assessment, even within Kibra, we will have that officer. We work with them. Then we identify the specific schools. Because as Action Foundation, we have other partner schools that we are working with within these informal settlements. So if we are conducting those kind of outreach activities, we go with the personnel from the Ministry of Education so that we conduct this kind of an activity. Then we refer them to respective schools because not all schools will cater for the needs of these children. So we identify those kind of schools. Apart from that, we capacity build the teachers so that when these kind of cases are brought, they are able to handle them in the right manner.
So this child, let's say you have worked with the EAC official at Jogoo Road.
Yep.
So the curriculum what?
The curriculum support officers.
Curriculum support officer.
Yes.
So the curriculum support officer comes with you to say Mukuru Njenga.
Yeah.
And you've gone to a certain school. And they do their assessment as per their training and they identify that this child needs some extra support.
Yes.
Now take us from there. What then happens?
So after that, let's say for example that the process has taken place, the child is placed. So what will happen is that the teachers who are there, that specific class, there's a recommendation that is given to that teacher on the steps on how to handle that child. For example, there are something like there is one document that this teacher should have. It is called the Individualized Education Plan. This Individualized Education Plan outlines the present level of the present level of performance of this child, the strengths and the challenges that this child faces, and then the intervention measures that should be undertaken. So, for example, child A has a problem with reading.
Yes.
So within the IEP, it will be outlined how the steps that the teacher should take within a formalized period to work with this child to enable this child acquire this skill that he is lagging behind at.
But this is the same teacher who's teaching the other children in the same class.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that this classroom is congested.
Yep.
This is an informal school in the informal settlement where, children from the local area have just been taken to this school. This is a teacher who's already burdened with the number of pupils that they have.
Yes.
They are operating in a very small and cramped up space. It's not a formal classroom, right? And then you're adding now the burden of this child who is not able to learn, and you're giving them these other extra activities. How do you support that?
So that is where we are having a challenge as an organization and even as the government. Because remember, the work that we are doing is the work of the government. It's not ours. So we are just coming to bridge in the gap. That's the reason as to why through doing this, we are trying to illuminate some of the challenges that happens within these kind of informal settlements. So by doing this, because remember, the policies that we have in Kenya, as far as inclusive education is concerned, they are talking about we need to have an inclusive classroom. So what we are trying to do when we work with the informal settlement schools, we are trying to train teachers on how to create that inclusive classroom environment for all learners.
Let's continue the conversation shortly after this break at 28 minutes to 8. Our guests this morning are from the Action Foundation that works in informal settlements to support the communities there. Particularly today, we are talking about caring early learning opportunities for children with disabilities. George Otieno is a Somesha program lead at the Action Foundation, and Esther Ngado is a child health and development program lead in the same organization. Yesterday was Thursday CT. It was the day when the new episode of Faithless was coming out. Did you manage to watch it?
Believe it or not, I got into a meeting which ended really late. So I didn't watch any.
You were not able to?
No. All my plans went out of the window. Yes.
Well, the episode is still there. The good thing about Showmax is that you'll still find it there. So you'll find episode 1, episode 2.
I will watch it.
You have the weekend.
Come Monday. I will tell you.
You'll be telling us all about it.
I will even be telling you what I think is going to happen next.
Very good. Faithless is
on showmax.com. It's Showmax's latest original title. It's a 10-part crime drama series that dropped last week, second episode yesterday, and looking forward to the ones after that. It's an intriguing story. You want to get onto showmax.com, subscribe and watch.
Yep, and let's continue making people smile. Just walk into Naivas by Colgate and you'll be helping to sink one of 30 water wells that will benefit 150 lives.
This is the Situation Room. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys and walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, partly sunny conditions in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 22 and lows of 12 today. Looking into Nakuru, 13 degrees and cloudy, highs of 25 and lows of 12. Actually, sunny conditions now in Nyeri at 14, highs of 22. And we'll see highs of 24 in a sunny Eldoret at 12. It's 22 and partly sunny in Mombasa, highs of 27. And we'll see highs of 28 in a cloudy Malindi at 24. It's sunny at 19 in Kisumu, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 27 in a mostly sunny Kakamega at 17. The sun is up in Kampala, highs of 27 and lows of 18, while Dar es Salaam is also sunny at 24, highs of 30 and lows of 22. It's getting colder in Johannesburg. It's now 2 degrees. It'll go to highs of 14. Clear skies in Lagos, waking up to Friday morning, highs of 30 and lows of 25, while Kinshasa's clear at 19. It'll go to highs of 33.
Spice up your life.
Not too sticky a traffic situation this Friday morning, but there are pockets of traffic wherever you look today, kind of. On Jogo Road, still heavy as you're coming out from the Makadar train station. The Outer Ring Junction, touching on the Thika Superhighway, is heavy right about now. And after the service lanes escape, you'll have to get into that tunnel that goes towards Pangani. On Kiambu Road also has built up over the last hour, and we're seeing that traffic is heavy there. Heavy coming out of Westlands on Waiaki Way, and we're looking at Ruaka, then coming on into Limuru Road, which is pretty busy right about now as well. It's going to pick up as you get closer to 8 o'clock. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter and keep things moving this morning.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
Estangado and George Otieno from the Action Foundation. We're talking about nurturing care and early learning opportunities for children with disability. They work in informal areas of Nairobi, in Kawangware, Nakuru, Njenga, Mathare, Kibera, and they've been doing some good work. My focus, and I just want to continue with that question from where we left it off, is on the fact that many of the areas that you're working in are not supported by the Ministry of Education in terms of there are no schools, there are no teachers, there are no teaching assistants. And now you go in here and you have a partnership with the ministry, you identify that this child has a disability and they therefore need some special attention and support in their learning. Now, are you able to transfer this child from their community and maybe get them admitted to, say, a special education school that is supported by the Ministry of Education? Or are you only able now to deal with the situation as it is?
In our work, the direction we are taking is we have our services in the already existing schools. I think George talked about inclusion, where every child has a right to education in the normal setting. So in my department, how we support education, we have the therapy centers at the school. So the child comes for therapy and then continues to class. So we bridge that gap of the child has to go to therapy at place X, and then time has passed, it's too late to go back to class. So that's how we support the children.
Okay. Talk about working with government in this. And we see a challenge, obviously, because it's not possible, or rather it hasn't been possible, to really get the help that is required for children with disabilities. Call it what you like, but that's just it, right? How then have you been able to work with government so far? And what would it be that you would say, this is now, we have it. We are getting it right. We're doing what we need to do to make sure that these children are not left out, whether it's in the school system, whether it's in the support that they need if they cannot attend school. What would it look like working with government to make sure that these things then come into place?
So I think I must say to some extent we've gotten support from the government. For a very good example is that like last week from Monday to Friday, we had a training workshop at Machakos County where we, through the Ministry of Health, we got the government official from the Afya House who spearheaded the training of the health providers at the Machakos County where they were inducted on the new tools that have been produced to help in the assessment of children with disability. So I must say at that point they have really supported us. Then when it comes to also to into the education aspect of it, we are now seeing through that partnership with the government, the teachers are now coming out and they are also changing to be positive, because to some extent we were finding it rough that, for example, you find a teacher in a certain school is really willing to offer the service to these children, even to help these children, but their administration is hesitant to do this. So I think when we bring in the Minister of Education, we are now able to bring in the head teachers or the head of the institutions who are also even buying into this. Because, for example, if you go into an institution, for it to make it an inclusive, there are a lot of adaptation that requires to be made. So we cannot make this one if the institution itself is not privy to what we want to do.
Give us an example of how this has happened. When, for example, you say that there are children with disabilities in school that have assistive mechanisms like a wheelchair, for example.
Yes.
Give us an example whereby there's been partnership with, in a public school, for example, you're not just going to go in there as the Action Foundation and do your thing, right?
Yes.
There's got to be the requisite permissions granted and all of this. So give us an example where this has happened and it is now working today.
For example, I can give an example with Nakuru. Through the programs where my colleague is working, we have something we call the APT. The APT, this refers to Applied Paper Technology. This is a process in which we make the adapted seats for children with cerebral palsy, for example, with the local available materials like the boxes and the papers. When we make this kind of seats, we have offered some of them even at Mukuru, May Janga. So this kind of seats will now have enabled some of the children who even have had difficulties to position themselves in the normal desks during the classes. So when we offer this kind of seats, they find themselves comfortable and able to continue with the learning process. The second thing in terms of education, there is something called the digital literacy learning. We have incorporated this also to help the teachers. We provided them with the technology, the televisions and the rest that help these teachers in teaching the learners. Like, for example, in the literacy, how do you develop the digital storytelling, for example? So by doing so, we have seen that most teachers have come out and they have applied the system that we have given into them. Yes.
I think maybe just to add on to that, we also work with the Ministry of Health in the Child Health and Development Department, where we assist, we just help to implement the rehabilitative strategy. So that is also part of how the government is coming in. They have qualified occupational therapists, they have qualified physiotherapists who also support our work.
How do they do that? Is it structured periodically, or is it on need basis, or when you apply?
Okay, in our partnership, it's an ongoing process. It's a consultative process. Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible, if we look at sustainability of your program, right, as the Action Foundation, you have come into the community, you have started this and you've established something that is working. how sustainable would it be? Would it be possible for, is the government already coming in to say, all right, so you have the structures, you have this in place, we'll be sending our officers to you every third Thursday of the month or something like that, so that you know that at least now the government is, previously maybe the government was not present here, but now the government is present, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and such other officers. Because what happens if today the Action Foundation does not get the donor support that it has been relying on, and it moves out to the community?
What we are doing, which is a learning lesson from COVID, where we could not be able to physically reach these people, we have started an integrated home program just to ensure sustainability. So we have involved the community health workers. We deploy our occupational therapists to the homes of these caregivers, where they are taught on a home program. How are you able to support the developmental milestones of your child at home? Part of also the sustainability program is the home learning. Immediately, I believe that when a caregiver is empowered to cater for the occupational therapy, to cater for the home learning, I think that is sustainable enough. Even if the funding is cut, there's someone out there with the information, with the technical know-how to support children with disabilities. And also we know the community health workers, they are allocated homes by the government where they go to do the monitoring, they go to check the health situation. So already the government has the structures in place. We just come in to just supplement with the little knowledge.
When you say you worked together with the Ministry of Health, now children are born with disabilities. Now, are there disabilities that could have been avoided? Meaning, are there processes and procedures that mothers could have followed to limit the possibility of them having children with disabilities? And if this is so, does the Ministry of Health assist you not just with the plan of knowledge, but how it is one can avert this and point you in the direction where help to guarantee or to ensure that these avoidable circumstances are completely averted?
Yes, disability can occur in 3 times during the pregnancy of the mother. It can occur during birth and after birth. So, for example, during pregnancy, it could be genetic, for example, Down syndrome or autism. It could also be caused by environmental factors. Yeah. So during birth, it could be caused by maybe the child delaying to receive oxygen, and then it causes brain damage. After birth, it could be because of an injury. Maybe the child fell and they hurt themselves. So in all these areas, I think in the maternal care clinics, we see that there is need to educate the caregivers to follow through with their prenatal clinics, regular checkups. During birth, we see that even the government keeps encouraging the caregivers, please deliver your child under qualified personnel in proper conditions. After birth of the child, you're encouraged to attend the child wellness clinics. I think those are some of the strategies the government is putting in, and even us as the Action Foundation, we keep encouraging the caregivers, please follow through. The information is out there, please follow through. You reduce the chances of getting a child with preventable disability.
Do they also advise the sort of diets that mothers who are expectant should have? Because deficiencies that are caused by diets can also impact strongly on an unborn child. And some of these things are things that can be avoided. And if one doesn't have the food, what are the sort of supplements that perhaps a mother would need to take in order to ensure that her child is born in the best health possible?
Okay. Nutrition is very key for the mother who's carrying the child, and even for the child themselves. So in the maternal clinics, they are weighed. How are you gaining the weight? the diet is assessed. How are you feeding? There are some areas. In terms of supplements, we have the supplements that are issued by the government, the folic acid and iron supplements, which help to prevent a child with congenital issues. So the strategies are there.
How do you measure your success as the Action Foundation?
At the Action Foundation, we do not measure very big success. It's in small milestones. Disability is lifelong. There is no cure. So our success is a child comes in, they are not able to achieve their basic milestones of sitting, of standing, of holding. But after a few months with consistent therapy, the child ups and stands. The child is able to hold the cup and drop. That's a success. Or we see a child who has like bow legs. The caregiver doesn't know where to start. So we do maybe a referral for surgery. We do support for the surgery. So we'll do like the pre-surgery management, post-surgery management. This child is able to walk and they're able to go to school, which is the goal of our department, to be able to support this child to transition to school. So when a child is able to achieve their milestone, transition to school, that's success. Yes.
Would it be the preferred situation that children who eventually become adults with disabilities then can be a normal working part of the rest of society if those who then are tasked with the responsibility of making that environment conducive actually do what is supposed to be done? The different interventions that we talk about that are needed happening at the same time with support from government, happening at the same time with an understanding of what needs to be done. Can we then have a place where, or can we then have a society where children with disabilities, adults with disabilities, don't have a more compounded situation because these other parts are not doing what should be done? Can we have that kind of situation?
I think it's possible. Like my colleague George mentioned, disability is more of the response of the society to someone's impairment. So if as a society we are able to respond to their needs like we respond to any other person's needs, I think that would be an ideal. If we are able to end the discrimination, the marginalization, if persons with disabilities are included, so I think that would be an ideal situation. Yeah.
I've heard you mention your collaboration and partnership with the national government, Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health. Are you working with the county government, the Department for Early Childhood Education, the Department for Health?
Yes, I must say that we are working with the county government too. Like for example, when we are going to target the early childhood education centers, we will have to go through the county government because the ECDs are devolved in the county.
Yes.
So we have to work with the county government. Like for example, we go conduct trainings for the teachers. We go conduct the educational assessment in these kind of schools. We need to incorporate the county government into the service.
Yeah.
Yes.
We also work with Kajiado County, Machakos County in our rehabilitative outreaches. We've reached Kilifi in addition to Nairobi County. So they are part and parcel of our work.
How do you mobilize your resources? Who supports your work?
Okay, we are supported by donors, well-wishers, anybody who wishes to support us. For example, someone will come in and say, I see the need of diapers. They will donate the diapers. We also apply for grants that help support our work. Yeah.
Have you worked with maybe other institutions, say private schools that are supporting children with disability, to see maybe there can be some sort of sponsorship, scholarship for a child who is in one of your communities who would then be able to move into this other school to get the specialized or kind of education and care that they require?
Yeah, we do that. Like I said, in my program, our goal is to transition this child to school. So we work with the nearby schools in the community just to support those children to accept these children to begin with. Like George mentioned, after the education assessment, a recommendation has been issued to take this child to school X. When you go to school X, they are like, we don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
So what we do is to support the nearby schools, the private and public, to be able to accommodate these children. Because I think once you empower them, once they know the know-how, as in George's program, they are able to be receptive. They are able to accept these children.
Yeah. Do you have some success stories? I'm sure when you're talking about the work that you do, even when you're talking about what you do with your friends, you tell of a specific story that just warms your heart.
Well, I think I want to talk about a young boy who came to us with bow legs. This story touches my heart because the mother had given up. They didn't know what to do. There are so many gaps in the community. They don't know what to do. She was fearful. She's hiding this child because she feels this is not normal.
How old was the child?
The child was 3 years at that time. So she came in. We welcomed her. She saw other children who have even more severe disability. And she got encouraged to even continue with the therapy. With time, the child was able to go for surgery, corrective surgery, for one of the legs. Then we supported them in post-surgery management. After a few months, they went for surgery for the other leg. As we speak now, the boy is 7 years old. He's enrolled in school. He just comes to see the other children and just play together because the community we have in our therapy centers, it's more just to also create a social place for these children. Most of our children with disabilities are put in a corner in the house. Nobody talks to them. Nobody plays with them, you know. So when they come at the center, there are other children who look like them. Remember, children are intelligent. You know, they're asking themselves, why am I like this? Why is my dad not like this? But when they come and they see a community of children with similar challenges, who are going through similar treatment, they are happy for that. We have also the caregivers who feel alone in the community, you know. The neighbor does not relate because their child does not have disability. So in the community we create, they come and talk through their issues. They come and see, I'm not alone in this, yeah? And that encourages them to even continue seeking help for their children.
How did this mother end up at your center?
Well, she reports that it was just word of mouth, people telling them, there's an institution somewhere that deals with people with disabilities, and therefore she came in. Yeah.
Okay. George, do you have a story?
Yeah, I must say, number one, I want to bring it in terms of a teacher and a student. So there's this child or a parent who moved around because, you know, with the issue of disability, for the parent to sit down and relax, they would have walked for long.
Yes.
So what happens is that this parent had moved almost all over the country looking for services. And it happened that the boy had dyslexia. This is a condition that prohibits one from reading and writing. So he couldn't understand what this was. So when she was referred to me, and I did educational assessment because I'm also one of the CSOs. So when I did this, I placed the child into a certain institution. Within 3 months, the parent came back and called me. She couldn't believe. Because one, the boy his self-esteem had been raised in that they went and They went in a competition that was held at Kenyatta National Hospital. This kind of the cultural day, and it happened that the boy emerged number one as Mr. and it was International Miss and Mr. Children with Disability. On top of that, currently the boy is now able to make footmat and is making a living from it. So the mother is like, where were this kind of people to give me this kind of services?
Indeed.
Yes.
Beautiful story.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us today, George Otieno, Somesha Program Lead, and Esther Ngado, Child Health and Development Programs Lead at the Action Foundation. Asanteni sana for joining us.
Thank you.
The conversation continues, 8 a.m.
Your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has said that the damage done on the Nairobi Expressway could cost them up to more than 700 million shillings. Murkomen said they had CCTV footage of protesters who vandalized the expressway.
The government of Kenya is going to do everything humanly possible to make sure that we bring all the perpetrators to justice. Fortunately, most of them were captured in the CCTV cameras that were here. We have the footages. The police have arrested not less than 50 people in relation to the acts that happened here yesterday. But you know, we had almost 2,000 people operating from here. We will do everything humanly possible to ensure that each and every mandamano is going to be brought to justice.
The CS further said the taxpayers, including opposition leaders who led the destruction, would have to bear the cost.
As per the agreement we have on Moja Express, the people of Kenya, the taxpayer, is going to pay for this damage. We will not allow the already overburdened Wanjiku to pay this on their own. We will make sure that all those who organized this mass action and this targeted attack are going to personally pay. They will carry vicarious liability for every damage that was caused, and for every penny that will be paid from the exchequer, they will be asked to indemnify the people of Kenya, and they will have to pay.
The fourth phase of exhumation of bodies at Shakahola Forest continued today. A total of 12 bodies were yesterday recovered at Shakahola Forest in Kilifi County, bringing the official death toll to 384. Police have been exhuming the site of the mass graves where followers of the self-proclaimed preacher Paul Mackenzie were buried after allegedly being convinced to starve themselves to death by the extremist preacher. Coast Regional Commissioner Rodo Nyancha confirmed that no new arrests had been made in connection with the deaths. Thus, the total number of arrests remain at 37. The number of rescued persons stand at 95, while 253 DNA samples have been collected by forensics detectives. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has reclaimed 7.5 million shillings illegally acquired by two HIV/AIDS researchers in 2004, Job Keitany and Michael Chesikao, while working as herbalists and researchers at PAR-AIDS, a community-based organization that received a grant from the National AIDS Control Council to test the efficacy of herbal medicines in combating the killer disease. The research was a collaborative effort between the AIDS Council and Moi University, where the tests were scheduled to take place. A Nairobi court has ruled that former Samburu Governor Moses Kasaine Lenol Kulal has a case to answer in relation to 84.7 million corruption charges. In the case, Lenol Kulal was accused of instigating trade between the Samburu County government and Oryx service station, which he allegedly owns, by supplying fuel worth over 84 million shillings. He and his co-accused persons were charged with various corruption offences arising from the unlawful payment of the said amount to Oryx services. Now, Azimio leaders have been invited to the Thanksgiving ceremony for Interior PS Raymond Omolo that will be attended by President William Ruto at Oriwo High School in Homa Bay County. Hezbon Omolo, the family spokesperson, has said that the preparations for the ceremony have been completed and that all leaders have been invited.
We expect more than 10,000 members of the public drawn from all over the country to attend. We also expect leaders, again, drawn from across the entire length and breadth of our nation, in all political divide, in terms of those in the Kenya Kwanza and even Azimio, they are all welcome because this is a Thanksgiving service. The date couldn't have been better to give thanks and glory to God for the appointment of our son, Dr. Raymond Omolo.
The youth who contribute to the economy of the Western region have raised their concerns over the bottlenecks they face when starting new businesses. They say that the various licenses required of them continue to dampen their spirits. Esther Nzomo, one of the entrepreneurs, is now asking President William Ruto and members of parliament to intervene and amend the laws to make it easier for them to build their businesses and play their role of nation building.
Ombi yetu kwa serikali ni ya kwamba hizi licenses ziunganishwe kwa pamoja ili ziweze kutusaidia. Kwa maana kama vijana tunajaribu kujikimu kwa biashara, lakini sheria inatukandamiza. Si mara ya kwanza tumesema hii maneno. Tunaomba wabunge pia waingilie kati waweze kutusaidia. Maana tunaambiwa hii ni sheria na wabunge wako na uwezo wa kurekebisha sheria.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu. Kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys.
All right, at a few minutes after 8 o'clock, we're still looking at traffic in here and there, actually. A little bit on the thicker superhighway. It seems to be dwindling as you're getting closer towards Pangani at the underpass, but we'll keep an eye because it's coming and going. Coming out of Westlands, a little bit here and there, and into the CBD is where most of it is happening. On Uhuru Highway, out towards the Haile Selassie Junction, it's starting to build up as you get out of that expressway nook. And the North Airport Road going towards the Eastern Bypass also has some traffic, so we're going to watch out for that. On Magadi Road, it's busy. It seems to be busy every Friday as you get towards Langata Road at the junction. Let's keep an eye on things and see how that opens up. It's a few minutes after 7. Check again around about 8:30. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
8 after 8, good morning and welcome to the third of The Situation Room this Friday, 14th day of July 2023, Kenya's biggest conversation. Hey, Colgate is telling you, please, no matter what you do, please don't forget that it's important for all of us to smile. And there are some children and their parents and neighbors and communities that don't really smile because they don't have access to clean water. They just wake up and every day it's stress, pressure of life. And they have to think about, okay, so where are we going to get water today? Now imagine Colgate has worked with various partners, and they've identified several communities. They're able to go there, sink a water well, and that water well serves a community. 150,000 people are set to benefit from 30 water wells that are being sunk by Colgate across the country. And all they're asking you, Colgate, is walk into Naivas, buy Colgate. That's it. Walk into Naivas, buy Colgate. And when you do that, what happens?
What you do is that part of that, when you buy Colgate, part of the proceeds from that which you have bought goes towards making sure that these 30 water wells that you're talking about can actually be sunk. 150,000 lives affected because 30 water wells being sunk. That means it's fresh drinking water. It's clean, potable drinking water. It is water for sanitary use. It is water for cooking. So you're eliminating so many problems at once. Children can go back to school. You can be sure that your health issues are being sorted out because there's clean water and it can be used for washing and such. So, I mean, how many birds with one stone? And all you need to do is buy a tube of toothpaste.
That's it.
Yep.
Something big is happening from Monday. Monday's the 17th to the 20th of July at the KICC. The Employment and Labour Relations Court is going to be holding its annual symposium where they will be bringing together employers, workers, unions, institutions, SMEs, and everybody else who's involved in the workplace to come and just discuss promotion of social justice and economic prosperity. That is the Employment and Labour Relations Court annual symposium at the KICC from Monday. Nyote mwalikwa. It'll also be live on TV and online. It'll be streamed live online. So as we wait for our guests to get into the studio, Showmax, original, faithless, big stars, nini, cha kuokota si cha kuiba.
Imagine Rosemary Waweru, Avril Nyabura, Beatrice Mwai, Fatma Mohammed, Alex Kamau, Morris Mwangi, Peter Kamau, Arabron Nyeke, Abubakar Mwenda, Brian Ngaria, Anthony Chula Nduguna, Ashley Kariz, Steve Matias, Candy Layula, Zawadi Kayo, Mark Masai, all performing in Showmax's latest original title, Faithless. The second episode dropped yesterday. It's a 10-part series looking at the intrigues around this whole crime syndicate and what happened when they run into money innocently, and then the deepened layers of the story and how it's all opening up. It's on Showmax, and you want to get on and watch it. What does Showmax say you can do? Watch whatever you want, anytime, anywhere, on any device. No particular schedule that you have to follow. No contract, no commitments, no adverts, no extra installation fees. Log on, subscribe, sit back and watch.
That's it.
That's it.
Bas. Big thing. A very big thing. Some interesting story that's in the paper today. Kenyans have invaded forests after lifting of logging ban.
Before they had not invaded.
This one. 10 days after President William Ruto announced the government's decision to lift a logging ban, Environment CS Soipan Tuya says some people have started encroaching on forests. The CS says invaders are engaging in illegal activities, such as charcoal burning, with some building structures and even leasing out forest land. Speaking during the launch of the Parliamentary Conservation and Climate Change Caucus in Nairobi yesterday, she told MPs that the government needs their support now more than ever to protect and save forests from human destruction. She said, we need your support to remove the people from forests who have started illegal activities because they're your constituents. We have just finished an operation in Mau Conservancy. There are several other forests, including Kareta Forest in Narok North and Sasimwani Forest, where we have Kenyans who think the forests are free for them to go and erect structures and engage in illegal activities, as well as lease out forest land. The minister said some forest officers have been interdicted in the affected areas. She also defended the government's lifting of the ban, saying there's no cause for alarm. Agroforestry and commercial forestry are part of the plan because the timber industry is doing badly. One of the reasons why we have commercial plantations in our gazetted forest is because they were established for the purpose of industrial or commercial forest production. Now,
let me ask the question, if I may.
Ask the question.
I mean, do you really think that when we look at Kenyans, is it that there is a certain air which if you breathe, you will be given to certain antisocial activities. Like, say, if you live in a forest. Or if you live just in the periphery of a forest. Or whatever. Because
yours is a loaded question, CT.
It's always my questions.
What are you asking?
What I'm asking is, do people in authority know what they set in motion when they make decisions that in the glare, like now we have people who were in government who have cases in the anti-corruption court. Some have been charged for criminal offense. Do you know what you set in motion? Do you know the example you set and what it is that you're actually telling people they can do? Because this forest has always been there for the longest time. It's not as though this forest came with one government. The forests have always been there. The only thing we've done over time is reduce the forest cover. But forests have always been there. How can somebody invade a forest, decide that this forest land, they can decide to cut it up and sell to other people? I mean, just think about it. How? Anyway.
It exposes very many things. We said, soon after the president announced that lifting of the ban, we said, by the time the president was saying this, a lot had happened.
Yes.
He has consumed reports and it's gone to a point where he's been advised, I think we need to lift this ban. And it needs to be managed. Now, what we would have expected is for Soipan Tuya, the following day, to speak to the country and say, this is how we are going to operate in the forest.
This is the plan.
This is the plan. All right?
She did
so
not.
we have got these commercial plantations. The commercial plantations, licensed people are the ones who are going in to log. And this is how you get licensed. These other areas are still off limits. Community plantations, community leadership, you're going to work like this and you're going to be able to log. With the absence of that information, people just know, Rais amesema tuingie kwa msitu, miti inakauka, inaanguka.
Inaoza kwanza.
Inaoza.
So ili uzuie hiyo.
Unaona ile ujinga iko hii Kenya.
Yes, unakata miti.
That's what now people think. So Ipan Tuya, as you're talking to MPs, this is clearly on your doorstep. You are the one who needs to be talking, not asking MPs to talk to their constituents. Our guest is in the studio. May Janga is a politician. He's very many things, but he'll tell us what else he is. May, good morning.
Morning too.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Yes, karibu sana also.
That is the hot seat of the Situation Room. And we're going to have various conversations. But first, let's welcome you with the day's proverb. CT Muga usually gives us a proverb every morning.
Yes.
And an entire week, proverbs come from one country. This week's proverbs are from Sudan.
Yes, Sudan, Khartoum, not Sudan, Juba.
Somebody's correcting you online. CT, there's only one Sudan.
Well, thank you very much. There is Southern Sudan. And there's Sudan. The reason why I keep saying northern is so that you distinguish. Because when you say Sudan, if I say, okay, Sudan, not the southern Sudan, okay? So you'll assume you understand, isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
All right. So not the southern Sudan.
Okay, so there's South Sudan and then there's Sudan.
Yes.
Okay.
So the person who corrected me has corrected me correctly. They are actually right. Okay. It is not northern Sudan, it is Sudan. But it is in the north.
Okay.
Voilà. You know, I'm not giving up on this one.
Clearly not.
Yes.
It's in the north of the south.
It's the north of the south. When you live with Arabs, either do what they do or move away.
When you live with the Arabs, either do what they do or move away.
I have to explain something. I mentioned it in passing. The turmoil that one sees in Sudan right now, it's not the first time this has happened. From the time they gained independence in 1956, this is the fourth. Fourth, no, not third, fourth. And they've always had a revolutionary council that is made up of the military ruling it, and then one person stands up as the president or is seen as the president. But the history is that you have a revolution, then you have a coup, meaning the people within the armed forces overthrow each other, and then you have another revolution. Fourth time. Now, it shows that this is a pattern and this is the history that they have. Now, what that means for the people, that they very rarely know peace. Very rarely.
Yeah.
And this turmoil is what they know.
Yeah.
And when you know something, even when you have moments of peace, it is very easy to go back to what you're accustomed to.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. The proverb again?
The proverb is, when you live with Arabs, either do what they do or move away.
Move away.
Yes.
May Janga.
Yes.
This proverb, when you hear it,
yes,
How do you relate with it? How do you interpret it?
I just interpret the way it is. You just move ahead. You move ahead. Yeah.
You can't live with this one. Move.
Yeah, just move. Just go with what you know it's best.
People use many different words to introduce you.
Yes.
Businessman, Maina Janga. Politician, Maina Janga.
Yes.
Former Mongeki leader, Maina Janga.
Yes.
How would you introduce yourself?
Myself, I'm just a simple peasant farmer from Laikipia. And also in church, they call me a bishop.
In church?
In church.
Which church?
Hope International Ministry.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you the main bishop of the church?
We have so many bishops.
Okay.
We have so many churches gathered together that we worship together with them. Yes.
Okay. So, peasant, Laikipia, no, Nyandarua.
Laikipia.
Laikipia?
And, yeah, Laikipia. And also a business person. Farmer, a business person in Kenya. And I also engage in so many things.
Yes. Now, of course, people look at you and they see the politics and how you're able to mobilize and mobilize the youth. In those days of Mongiki, then Mongiki was called proscribed, and then now we moved into, it just became youth and youth in business. And City, I'll come to you here because you've seen that journey of the description of the youth groups and the various ways.
Yes, I have.
By the time it was being called a proscribed sect, by the time it was being called an illegal organization, what was it that led it to that?
I mean, you have to ask, first of all, who called it illegal? And when it existed, what was the form in which it existed that led whoever was branding or naming it get to that? You see, I grew up in Nakuru. Okay? Now, if you grew up in Nakuru in the 60s as I did, you will know that the Njoro, Elbagon, Turi areas, all those places, one of the things that you found there were people who had settled. There were land buying companies in Defo and Guataniro. People bought land and they settled. And among the people who settled there were Mau Mau. I know because one of the people who was Mau Mau was a friend of my father's. So I knew him. They lived next to us. He and his family. Now, why am I going this far back? The experience we've had in this country is people who actually literally fought for this independence of ours got disenfranchised. They fought for it. People came from somewhere and took power, and these people and their children suddenly were completely disenfranchised. Then what do you do? Now, a lot of what we see with movements in the youth is the first generation goes away, the second generation comes and asks, why exactly are we here and why are we having these problems? And the problem in the Rift Valley didn't help because a lot of it targeted Kikuyus. So you ask the question, but we are here and in our country, why are we having these problems? The people who have the energy and the strength to actually bring about change tend to be young people. If mobilized correctly, so now, what businesses were open to them? Matatus. That's a simple business that you could do. Over time, when you're more organized, you realize there's a lot more you can do. Now, the gap usually is when the government isn't doing something that they're supposed to do for you, people figure out ways of doing it for themselves.
They do for themselves.
Or they will do it for themselves. And they'll find that they're able to manage. And now when people understand that you are able to look after their interests, they will side with you. That is how these things happen. So when you're talking about groups and formations, that is how they tend to form.
That's how they come up.
That is how people come together. You have a common interest. Something has happened and you feel,
you're
for us to look
galvanized
after,
by something.
Yeah, something brings you together. To look after our interests, this is what we need to do. And that's what you do.
Maina.
Yes.
Has he described that situation?
I think he has described it very well. Because all these groups are brought up with the situations. We have a problem in Kenya. Like he has said, these young men are really sons and daughters of the Mau Mau. Our forefathers fought for the freedom of this country. They were fighting for freedom and land. Now, after the freedom fighters came from the forest. Their fathers did not receive anything, even a piece of land. They remained very, very peasant. They remained very hopeless. They had no hope. So any person who would give them hope, they are supposed to come together and listen together with him. So we do not have groups in this Republic of Kenya. What we need is to solve the problems of the poor people, because it is the poverty that is bringing people together. If we sort the problem of poverty, ignorance, and the ability to do their own things, people will be able to sort themselves. You know, when we have a lot of poverty in the Republic, people, and there are those people who are oppressing them, then they tend to come together to be able to liberate themselves. But not a form of people forming themselves as groups, but it is the situation and the problems
that brings people together.
Brings people together.
What would be solutions? Because it seems to be that it is one thing that brings people together.
Yes.
Poverty, their problems, there are no jobs, education is, lacking. What would be the solution to some of these things? It's easy to say, well, let's get them in school, let's provide jobs.
Yes.
But what from your standpoint would be, and I ask this to you specifically because, you've been at the point whereby with groups, seeing the problem, today again, seeing the problems, what would be a solution?
For example, in the places that I come from, in Laikipia, we find there's a lot of problem with the youth. Others are called gangsters, others are called kettle hustling. But if you really look into this problem, you go to the villages, you find there are no schools, there are no hospitals, there are no roads. People living there even don't have anywhere to plant their crops. It is very dry. So what do you expect from those people? And the government is not supporting them. Even electricity, there is no electricity. So those people are forced to do what they do. It is the responsibility of the government to go into those villages and actually dig boreholes for them, make schools for them, and make roads for them, and even put electricity in those places.
So are we saying that some of the things that we see, you talk about cattle rustling, you talk about violent gangs involved in robbery and crime.
Yes.
Are you saying that if government was doing its job to make an environment conducive, that we would not see crime gangs, we would not see cattle rustling, we would not see people taking the law into their own hands?
Mostly that is the way I'm saying. Because as much as I've lived with these people, I have seen that it is the problem that leads to people doing what they do. Also, when people are pushed very much to the extreme, they tend to force themselves into other ways. So it is good that the government deals with the problems by trying to solve the problem which is facing the people on the ground. Yes.
If you look at most human civilizations, the dominant narrative is usually by those dominant, in that the narrative you hear mostly are from people who have economic and political might. And much as they find groupings whom they refer to as outlaws and gangs, and you look at what it is that characterizes these people, those in power have the same traits. Because they're a gang. They are a group of people who more or less decide how your life should run and how it shouldn't run. And right across this globe, if you look at any mention of any group that was referred to as an outlawed group, and you look at how it grew, it is because the government of the day at that particular point in time neglected them. Basics that other people had and they could see, they didn't have. So they figured, why don't we just do these things for ourselves? And at the time, the organization brought up people who had more organizational skills, and in so doing, unfortunately, they sometimes ran afoul of the government, because the government had ways in which they thought they should do things that these people thought otherwise. So it's a situation that always arises. Why is it that even in this country, you talk about 70s, 80s, 90s. We had gangs all over the country. They were all in poor settlements. They were all in low-income groups. That's where you found them. When I grew up in Mombasa, that's where I found them. And they existed.
The question that always comes to mind, and I want to pose this to you, Maina,
Yes.
is so the people have identified that they have a problem.
Yes.
And they can pinpoint their problem.
Yes.
And then they can also see the frustration that they have with government, and government is those in leadership of government at the time,
Yes.
not addressing their issues.
Yes.
The people have the power of the vote to put the leaders in office.
No.
The leaders who are in office were elected by the same people who are complaining that the government is not working for them.
Exactly. What they do, the leaders that are elected, most of them are interested in the leadership only. But as soon as they get into that leadership position, they don't help the people. For example, these people that are called unlawful, they are the people you find them in towns. Just they came to their homes to go and look for jobs. Then they sit together, talking and doing their things. So then when they are caught by police, they are called illegal gangs. But what has brought them together? It is because of lack of job opportunities. And the government said it is going to give people jobs. Now it is not the same again.
Which is why I'm asking.
Yes.
If the people are able to come together, why can't they come together after every 5 years and elect leaders who will be answerable to them and who will feel their needs and go and represent them well?
It is the will of the people that they elect people who will help them. But unfortunately, most of them do not.
Why don't they? For example, you put
they're-
yourself up and said, you know what, people, we have interacted, we've engaged, I'd like you to elect me.
Yes.
They didn't.
You know what happens during elections? People come with their money, they come with the bribes, and they bribe people. So we end up electing the people who are not good for the leadership because of the manipulation, stealing of election, and so forth.
Which is so this person who is a victim,
yes,
then is able to make a decision to form a group to start doing some things, but when it comes to an election, they are unable to make the same decision that suits them.
You know, because of problem. When you have a lot of problem in yourself, you can be forced to do other things because of the poverty that you are in. That's why most of our people do the wrong decision. Because when somebody comes with 1,000, he will tell you, okay, vote for me, and as you do this, I will do this again. Then they will follow the money.
They'll go where the money is.
Yes.
Let's take a break and continue the conversation shortly. May Janga is describing himself as a peasant Laikipia farmer.
Yes.
He says he's also known by others as bishop.
Yes.
And he's recognized as a businessman, as a politician, and many, many other things. He's here today. We're talking about the politics, the youth, and also politics of the Mount Kenya region. 28 minutes to 9, Kenya's biggest conversation, working with Colgate and Naivas to bring a smile to very many people across the country. Up to 150,000 people are going to benefit from this. Maina, have you heard about that? So Colgate,
yes,
the toothpaste brand,
yes,
says if you go to Naivas,
yes,
and you buy a tube of Naivas, they have
toothpaste.
A toothpaste, not I said tube of Naivas. A tube of Colgate.
I like that.
That one, eh? You go to Naivas, buy Colgate.
Yes.
Some of that money that you have bought Colgate with will actually now go towards sinking some 30 wells. They've identified areas and communities.
Yes.
And those children and the communities will have access to water. Just like you've said, there are parts of Laikipia where even getting water is a problem. Now imagine this, where you just buy Colgate, and this goes towards at least helping some people get water. It's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I would also urge people to continue buying Colgate.
Yes.
And myself, I will also be buying a lot. I was not aware that it is helping people.
It is.
But from now, I am aware.
Very good.
And
Time for that break.
Yes.
We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
It's sunny in Nairobi at 14. We'll see highs of 22 and 25 will be the high. In a sunny Nakuru at 16. 16 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 22 and highs of 24. In Eldoret, where the sun is up at 14. Mostly sunny conditions in Mombasa, 24, 25 and cloudy in Malindi. It's 19 and sunny in Kisumu and 19 and sunny in Kakamega. Sunny conditions at 21 in Kampala, and the sun is up as well in Dar es Salaam at 25. 4 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg. Partly cloudy conditions at 24 in Lagos, and it's sunny in Kinshasa at 20.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, still heavy on the Thika Superhighway. Coming in past the drift at Utali, Juja Road, busy as you get towards Muranga Road, and we're seeing a little bit of movement coming off Outer Ring onto Jogoo Road and then into the city. Lunga Lunga is heavy. It's touching on the Likoni interchange and then through towards the Southern Bypass. Some traffic that came off Langata Road towards Raila Odinga Way, then it's making its way back through Aerodrome and then out towards Uhuru Highway. The CBD is getting the most of the hit today. Not much coming out of Limuru Road, so that's all right. Kiambu Road not doing too poorly either. So we're probably going to be out of traffic hour early today. It's 8:30 and still a little bit of movement here and there, but manageable. You'll get where you're going without too much of an issue. Let's talk just in case it does go out of whack. Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Who is a businessman and a pastor and a politician and many other things. Maina, Mungiki is an illegal sect. And of course, you are no longer associated with Mungiki. But the government has been raising questions about the possible return of Mungiki. Are you aware of that?
I have heard them say that I was in that organization 20 years ago, but I'm not there anymore. I do not know whether they chose another leader or not, but it is their work to do what they want. But I don't think there is something cropping up like Mungiki. Because we used to have so many activities those days. Meetings, going to the mountains. Even we used to baptize people at night. We no longer baptize people. So things are very normal. What people are trying to do is trying to bring things that were there a long time ago. But they are no more.
They're no longer there.
I know when we were talking about these young men, Mungiki started in the 80s. So if somebody was born in 1980, 82, he's past 40 years.
Yeah.
Now they are saying that those people that are Mungiki today, they are in their 20s. It is unbelievable. Because those people are already grown up. Those days they were young people, and even they were not married. Others had not completed school. But if you compare those years until this day, you see if somebody was 20 years, plus this 40 years, it's almost 60. Now, if you tell us that the people who are cropping up, the Mungeke, which is rising again, it is completely not reasonable.
So you're saying that the Mungeke have retired?
They have retired.
Naturally by age?
By age. And
what if somebody else was trying to
bring it back to life?
Bring it back with the same ideals and recruiting now the younger people, the youth?
We should be very conversant with what is happening all over the country. We have not seen an activity of these young men. What if there is, we would have seen, but there is no more. Yes.
Do you think that there's a realization of the fact, perhaps, that whatever happened with Mungiki at that time was then very unfortunate, and people don't want to go back to that situation? Would you say that's the case, or is this purely the age issue now?
We do not regret being members of Mungiki, even in those days, because it is by joining that organization that made us come together. What we did is that we did not register the organization because we had no knowledge. We just came from the village. We did not know even Sharia house, so we started everything in the village. Primary school, secondary school, and later did we know that we are supposed to register things, because actually we had came from the village. And as he said, my brother said, we were involved with very many bad things those days, because in the position that we were, let's say for example in Moro, people used to fight and remove people from their villages. So even what was done during those days, it was not done because we wanted to do it. It was something like force. If somebody comes and removes you in your house, kicks you out and beats you and removes you everywhere, what would you do?
You'll react.
You will react. So many things were as a result of the situation that people were set in. So we do not say that actually our young people are bad.
There are those who say that, even during those days, because of that organization of the youth coming together, having some business interests, coming and organizing themselves, for example, in the matatu sector, in business, providing just ad hoc security and being members of local security vigilante and all, there was a lot of money that was now being raised by this group. However ad hoc it was. And the money would come all the way to the top and make those at the top very wealthy and even more powerful.
Okay.
Did you become very rich as a result of your activities in Mungiki?
The first time people started going to matatu industry, we went to the former president, Daniel Rodisharap Moi. Now we actually told him we have problems in villages, and we actually suggested that we have a way of helping ourselves. We asked the president whether we can join in the matatu industry and talk to the people, to the owners of the matatus, so that actually we can work with them. And he agreed. So what we did, we started working with the matatu owners. We established ourselves in the matatu industry for more than 20 years. So after 20 years, it is when the government saw we were not doing something good. Now, the problem that was there during that time, people manning matatu industry, they are still in matatu industry even now. And people are very orderly. And actually, there's nothing wrong with talking with rich people to guard their things and even protect them. And as much as people thought we were doing bad, it was actually good for the youth, because a matatu bus can earn like 3,000 per day, and a bus can earn like 10,000. What is wrong with giving somebody 100 shillings to protect the car when you are away and sleeping, and then watches your car? I don't see any problem. Even now, today, people are working and they are helping. You cannot help yourself. Nobody can be an island. We need people to work for you. So there is no problem of people working with any person they want to work with.
The problems that the youth faced then,
yes,
would you say that they're the same problems, similar kind of problems that the youth face today in terms of joblessness, lack of opportunities?
You know, when you go to villages, there are so many educated people. They're degree holders, diploma holders, and they're in their villages. They are not working. If they get a chance anywhere, that's where they belong. I want to tell you, even in these matatu industries, we have drivers who are degree holders, and even touts. And they have gone from university. The others are medicine doctors. They don't have any place to go and treat this patient. So when you find any kind of work, it is good to do, because nowadays we don't have any work. But I would urge also, if people don't find any work, they just create their own work. They let them come together and create their own work. They use their brain, because you cannot stay home and die. You have to come together, even stay like the way the women do, merry-go-round, and help one at a time.
Organize yourself.
Organize yourself.
So you can earn a living.
Yes. Look for capital. This capital can be able to help you work. You know, for example, if you are looking for $1 million, and actually you are 10 of you, you'd need only 100,000 each to start a business.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was what we were doing, to help our young men raise capitals to be able to sustain themselves. Nowadays, most of our people have their own properties. They are stable and they are able to manage their lives. Yes. In those days, they were not married. Today, they are married.
Right.
They have their own children. They are able to educate their children, even to overseas. Yes.
For some reason, you're still regarded as someone who can be looked up to lead in some regard.
Yes.
At some level, in some way.
Yes.
Why is that? Still influential to a certain extent. Why is that? Even after you've said yourself that you left the group, you started doing other things, going into the church, but still, there's still May Janga. How come?
It is not the group that was leading people. It was myself. And you know, once a soldier, always a soldier. If you became a leader those days, you don't change to become another person. Even in your own village, you become a leader. Whether you are elected or not, you still continue to become a leader. Now, I contested in Laikipia senatorial seat. And I got over 50,000 votes. Now that ODM man just came ahead of me with 9 votes, 9,000 votes. And you know, those areas are very much dominated by Kalenjins. And you know, and there was this UDA fever that actually, and that wave. And I managed to get those votes, meaning that I can influence things to happen. Yes, in my own capacity.
You indeed can influence, and that's why even Ndu is asking. You're still a very powerful and influential figure. You still have your capacity to mobilize.
Yes.
You are able to mobilize this group of then young people to, like you say, become gainfully employed, to become responsible members of the society who are able to own property, even educate their children, even be able to afford to sponsor their children abroad.
Yes.
If you still have that same leadership quality, why don't you organize those people that you had then, who are now the elders of society, and then go and convince the community to elect them? So that then, that government that was frustrating you in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s is now led by people who understand the plight and the pain of the downtrodden.
Now, we don't say that there are no people who are elected. Even some of our people have been elected into position. But in their own capacity, they are able to deal with the situation the way they meet them. The life is not static. It is moving. It's moving.
It's dynamic.
It is dynamic. Yes. So where we were in the 80s is not where we are in this 21st century. And also, if we say that we are going to deal with the things the way they were in the 80s, it cannot go the way they are today, because we have also technology coming up, and we have to go with the technology. So our people is not only the people of Mount Kenya. We are people everywhere, and today we are encouraging. Like those days we were talking about Mount Kenya youth coming together, worshiping, facing Mount Kenya, and also helping each other. Today we are a bit different because we are involved with the youth everywhere in the Republic of Kenya. We can find ourselves in Mombasa, in Kisumu, in Kitale, and we engage in every good work to be able to. Yes.
If I may ask, when you say you engage with the youth,
yes,
what exactly do you engage them in? What is it that you are trying to propagate among the youth? What are you trying to encourage the youth to do?
We want to encourage the youth to be empowered, so that they can get those people who cannot get the resources to do business. We can be able to help them and actually look for money to help the youth. Even those who cannot educate themselves, we also try to make sure that they go to school.
There are those who, politically speaking, have associated you with Raila Odinga.
Yes.
What is the association, if it actually exists?
Raila Odinga is a Kenyan. He's a Kenyan.
Yes.
And actually, Raila Odinga is my neighbor. Raila Odinga, if you go to Raila Odinga and count the homes before you come to my home, it is only 2 homes. So it's just my next door neighbor. And so there's no problem with Raila. Raila is a good man. He's trying to change the Republic of Kenya. And my association with Raila Odinga is that we have some things in common. Like we want to liberate Kenyans. Yes.
What is your thought about the current government in place and how it is handling the matters which you've said severally are close to your heart? The unemployment issues amongst young people, the lack of an environment whereby they can get something worth doing with their hands. What are your thoughts about that today? I know you've made some, you've expressed yourself about some of those things. There have been sentiment about maybe what the deputy president today thinks of you and your position. What are your thoughts about the current administration and how it is working on some of the things that you complain about with young people?
What I think about the current government, that during their campaign time, they promised a lot to the people of Kenya. And actually, most of the promises that they promised, they are not able to fulfill. And actually, when they talked about Mama Mboga and they talked about Shushaina and the small vendors, they are still in place. There's nothing has changed. We still see the same things that we used to see those days. So if they are to do things, they are supposed to wake up and do what they promise Kenyans to do. You would hear those days that every bus stop they went, they talked about billions they are going to give to Kenyans. 50 billions, 100 billions, 300 billions. We have not seen those things happening. What we are saying is that we need to see things happening the way they say it. Actually, what they promised Kenyans, let them fulfill. We have heard about even the deputy president talking about me a lot. I have no problem with the deputy president. He hails from Mount Kenya. They claim that I want to be the kingpin of Mount Kenya village. I don't think I'm interested in that. I am past those things. If somebody wants to be, then he can be. But it's only people who are talking about that. Even yesterday, he was very much talking about myself in my village in Laikipia. But I have no problem, and I have no problem with him. He's a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and he can talk the way he wants. Yes.
Do you support maandamano?
Actually, maandamano is not a bad thing because it is in our constitution. And actually, people of Kenya have that choice either to represent themselves directly or indirectly. And now when people do maandamano, they want to represent themselves directly to the people, to the republic. And actually, what I believe in is that it is the right of the Kenyan people to demonstrate and even to picket. It is enshrined in the constitution. And when people demonstrate, they should do it peacefully and without even harassing people, without even doing bad things. So that is the demonstration. And that is the demonstration we are asking people to do.
So what's your comment about the latest demonstration where we've seen demolition of property, we've seen deaths, we are seeing it's now spiraling into more and more violence?
I think what is happening, like we were supposed to go to Kamukunji, and is this on Friday or what?
On Wednesday as well.
On Wednesday. We realized that the meeting had been invaded by other people who had come with cold weapons. They wanted to destroy people in the meeting. That is why we decided not to go to the meeting. Yes.
What would you say about those?
I think in this Maandamano movement, there are people, the leaders are doing it in good faith, but there are other sponsored goons by the government who come after the demonstrators and actually demolish things and actually blame it to the demonstrators. That's what I believe.
Why would the government do that?
Because they want to paint the name of the demonstrators bad so that they can land on them. Yes. You know, if you want to beat somebody, you give somebody a bad name so that when you hate on him, nobody is going to answer. So they are set to destroy the people's property so that it will be blamed on the demonstrators. That's what they are doing.
Do you think the leadership of Azimio should call off these demonstrations and seek dialogue like the religious leaders have said?
I think it is the principles of these Maandamanos who can do that together with the president. But I think it is good that people sit together and settle their own problems. That's my position. Because we don't have to keep on demonstrating, keep on fighting, keep on arguing. We are people of one country under one God, and we are supposed to be peaceful. There is nothing as precious as peace. You know, when even God created us, in the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27, he gave us the will to become like him. He created in his will and likeness, and he gave us dominion over the people and the land. So it is our own self who can decide the way we want to live in this country. The president of this country, together with the opposition leader, it is good for them to sit together and settle the matters that are affecting the people of the Republic of Kenya, because they are human beings. At one time, they were in one party, so they know each other. Even all of us know each other. We do
You're
not
all
come.
friends.
Yeah, we are all friends.
You call each other.
Just difference in ideology. Yes.
May Janga, we thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to host you again soon.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Kabisa.
May Janga has been our guest this morning. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning, 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Nito. I'm Dennis Aseto. Matatus can now use Nairobi Expressway after the government lifted a suspension of public service vehicles from using the Nairobi Expressway. Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said the move is aimed at boosting mobility across the city. The ban had been put in place in July 2022 due to a rise in road accidents caused by PSVs. This is Kenya Railways has suspended train services along the Syokimau and Lukenya routes over security concerns. In a statement, the management cited volatile security situations arising from consistent attacks on trains passing through Nakuru Janga. It highlighted two recent incidents where the Lukenya-bound train was attacked at 6 p.m. Wednesday during anti-government protest by the opposition, followed by another incident earlier Thursday morning where a train carrying 520 pupils was attacked at 11 a.m. It stated that the safety of passengers was paramount, adding that normal services will resume as soon as possible. And Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja made his first executive reshuffle since assuming office on August 25, 2022. The reshuffle impacted 7 out of 10 members of this cabinet. Among those unaffected are Charles Kerich, responsible for finance and economic affairs, Stephen Gadhuita Mwangi, overseeing built environment and urban planning, and Michael Magero Gumo, in charge of innovation and digital economy. The reshuffle led to several changes in other portfolios. Maureen Nyeri has been relocated from the Green Nairobi sector to business and hustler opportunities. Now, Health Committee Deputy Chairperson in Trans Nzoia County Assembly, Joshua Mwai, has said that the Ministry of Health should increase the allocation of funds in the budget to match the 5-year county development plan, that is County Integrated Development Plan, which is being launched today. In the budget, 9.11 billion shillings for the financial year 2023-2024 of the county. The Ministry of Health was allocated 2.2 billion shillings.
I want to thank our Excellency Governor for at least providing resources to our medical team. I know we've done a little bit of it, but we still have a long journey. We kind of moved the budget from 26 to around 30 of the county allocated to medical services. We would wish to do more so that you guys get a good pay, get some promotion. And it's what something called the PI, where you're going for in-service training. Meaning lazima tuwatu tusome tuweze kuongezeka na tuweze ongeza ujuzi.
Amwai has urged the board to employ more health officers to facilitate the provision of medical services.
There's a time I spent about 3 hours in the ward, either our total, and the nurses, they were struggling. I would request that you provide resources to our ward so that our nurses are able to provide their services with a lot of humble time. We need to employ more medical personnel. It's so hard, sometimes we complain, but again, we are overworking our medical staff. Kazi ni nyingi. We have approved our boards. We would like to have the regulations tuharakishe, tupitishe ili iweze kufanya kazi. Tukusanya pesa itumike kwa hospitali itaweza kuwa ni vizuri sana.
And the youth who contribute to the economy of the Western region have raised their concerns over the bottlenecks they face when starting new businesses. They say that the various licenses required of them continue to dampen their spirits. Esther Nzomo, one of the entrepreneurs, is now asking President William Ruto and members of Parliament to intervene and amend the laws to make it easier for them to build their businesses and play their democratic role of building the nation.
Ombi yetu kwa serikali ni ya kwamba hizi licenses ziunganishwe kwa pamoja ili ziweze kutusaidia Kwa maana kama vijana tunajaribu kujikimu kwa biashara, lakini sheria inatukandamiza. Si mara ya kwanza tumesema hii maneno. Tunaomba wambunge pia waingilie kati waweze kutusaidia, maana tunaambiwa hii ni sheria na wabunge wako na uwezo wa kurekebisha sheria.
African Union member states have been called upon to adopt policies to encourage intra-African trade in food production by, among other things, removing non-tariff barriers that currently make imports from outside the continent costly compared to locally produced food. AU member states were further urged to invest in irrigation agriculture by moving away from the reliance on rain-fed agriculture. African countries were called upon to adopt policies that motivate their youth to take part in agriculture to ensure increased production and reduce food insecurity. The forum further encouraged AU member states to build resilient food systems which are climate resilient by employing technologies which promote investments in technologies that also address post-harvest losses. The 3-day forum vouched for public-private partnerships to promote partnerships for ensuring sustainable financing and management of the national and regional agro-industrial parks and regional value chains. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asada. Good morning.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, so we have some traffic still on Lunga Lunga this morning. It's heavy as you come in towards the city. There's some of it on Makadara, on Jogoo Road as you come towards Landis as well. Heavy getting towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. Okay, and this is Raila Odinga Way. Traffic coming off of Langata Road. Still pretty busy as you get towards the city. Gong Road not doing too badly. Some traffic also coming in on the Thika Superhighway as we see traffic dwindling on Kiambu Road. Coming out of Westlands still continues, but this is all to be dealt with pretty easily as we go through today. All right, traffic hour probably end earlier than usual. Let us know what's going on where you are, and then let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and welcome to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Showmax. Second episode came out yesterday of Faithless.
Yes, indeed. I want to go and watch it today. I didn't get a chance to do that yesterday. But you know what? It's the second episode and it's now 2 down, 8 to go. And the story continues to unravel in terms of what happens with this loot that has been found, with this crime gang that's hanging somewhere on people's shoulders. Should they or should they not is the question. And Faithless is where Esther and her friends are deciding what to do with the drama around this crime. Showmax.com, subscribe, sit back and watch.
Indeed. Earlier we had a conversation with the lady and gentleman from the Action Foundation. We were talking about children with disabilities and how this organization helps them in education. Now, the Africa Disability Collaboration is convening the first African Summit on Inclusive Early Childhood Care and Education. The African Disability Collaboration is a collective of organizations working with children with disabilities in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Malawi. The vision of the Disability Collaboration is an inclusive Africa for children with disabilities. This summit for 2023 is going to be held next week, July 20th and 21st at the Kenya Institute of Special Education, and the theme is Nurturing Care and Opportunities for Early Learning for Children with Disabilities. It's going to highlight service provision models and innovations advancing inclusive early childhood care and education on the continent. A lot of it is going to be happening. Who's invited? Teachers, caregivers of children with disabilities, healthcare providers, and stakeholders in this sector. For registration, please access the link at the Action Foundation website. That's the Action Foundation website. You will get all the information. This is going to be a very, very important one, taking place on the 20th and 21st of July. That's next week at the Kenya Institute of Special Education. That's the Kenya Institute of Special Education. It's a Health Friday conversation. We had one. We're going to have another one. This one, now we'll be discussing dealing with sickle cell anemia. That's dealing with sickle cell anemia. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. So we're joined by two guests, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. Good morning, ladies.
Morning. Good morning.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Karibuni sana to the show.
Asante.
One of you is Selina Ogweno. And which one is that one? It is you.
Yes.
And the other one?
I'm Donna.
Donna.
Achieng.
Donna Achieng.
Yes.
Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Selina is the CEO of Children Sickle Cell Foundation. And Donna, you are?
I am a sickle cell warrior.
Sickle cell warrior.
Yes.
Karibuni sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
It's good to have this conversation. Every Friday we have a health-related conversation. And today we want to focus on sickle cell and understanding sickle cell. To welcome you both to the show, CT Muga has the day's proverb.
I do. Every week we have a proverb, or we have proverbs that are derived from a particular country. Now this week, they are from Sudan, not Southern Sudan. I have been corrected. Sudan, and it's not Northern Sudan. Sudan. Okay? Which the Arabs of old referred to as a country of black people. That's where the name Sudan came from. Now, when you live with Arabs, the same Arabs I've just mentioned, either you do what they do or you move away. That is a proverb.
When you live with Arabs, either do what they do or you move away.
But you know, as I was saying this, you know what came to mind? Now, what if the Arabs live with you?
What if they live with you?
Yes, they found you. They've come to live with you.
Yeah.
So, do you live like them or do they live like you?
What's the difference between when you go to Rome, do as the Romans do? Yeah.
There's a difference in this. If I go to Rome, I'm the one who's gone to Rome. So this one, we are saying, when you live with the Arabs, I'm asking, when the Arabs come to live with you, okay, now, when the Romans come to live with you, let me turn around. What should the Romans do?
They do as you do.
Yeah.
They do as you do. I don't think so. People who are used to people doing what they do,
it's difficult for them to
it's very difficult for them to do what other people do. They'll come and continue doing what they like doing.
Yeah, and ask you to do what
yes, in your own country.
These Romans.
So I get your message. We are supposed to do what you people are doing. Eh?
Yes, exactly.
It's loud and clear.
Actually, no. We are going to ask you your interpretation of this proverb. Clearly, you've given us your interpretation, but now give it a little thought. What do you think this proverb meant? Or what does it mean to you? How does it resonate with you?
It's as good as do not disturb.
Hey.
More direct like that. Do not disturb. Get it. Donna, what do you think? What's your interpretation of this?
From my perspective, I think for us, all of us as human beings, for us to be at par. There's no way I can go to the Arabs and I start doing the things I'm used to, and then they come to my place and they do the things I'm used to. I think it's just a matter of us being at par, doing the things so that we are at the same level. That is, yes.
I'm sure push for equity.
Yes.
Sawa kabisa. Now, introduce us to this organization, Celine Ogueno, CEO, Children Sickle Cell Foundation.
Oh, yeah. Children Sickle Cell Foundation is an organization that was started in 2001 and actually started with parents coming together and asking themselves, what is sickle cell? How does it present? How do we take care of our children? What are these myths and misconceptions? There's quite a lot of stigma around it, and many families have gotten to lose their loved ones because of sickle cell. So when it was formed, a number of parents came together, and then there was our patron, Dr. Casey Wafula, who was also championing this and trying to educate the parents on how best they can take care of their children. So when the foundation was formed, it was formed as a support group, just to help people understand what is sickle cell, how does one get it, and how does one manage it, and how do you cope with it, and what do you do, especially in this society where there's a lot of stigma around it.
Would you say that stigma is as a result of ignorance?
Yes, it is. High ignorance, not just ignorance.
Oh dear. We even categorize ignorance.
This goes into high, not just that
it's not just low, ordinary, garden variety ignorance. No. They're card-carrying stuff.
Top level ignorance. But then when you talk about sickle cell, and so we can then define how people are ignorant of it. What is sickle cell?
Sickle cell is a genetic disorder that one inherits from both parents. So it's not a condition where you say it's the father who gave the child sickle cell or it's communicable. It's a genetic disorder that affects the blood gene. So everyone has two blood genes, one from the dad and one from the mom. And unfortunately for people with sickle cell, they have two abnormal blood genes, meaning that for me to get a child with sickle cell, I have to have gotten this child. I am a carrier, and the father is either a carrier or somebody living with sickle cell. So what happens is the probability, that math of probability of you getting a child. My firstborn actually inherited the sickle gene, the abnormal gene from me, and also the other abnormal gene from the dad. So that's how he ended up with two abnormal genes, which are now the sickle cell gene.
Okay.
And that's how one gets sickle cell. Of course, carriers can also get children who are normal, because a child can also inherit a normal gene from the dad and a normal gene from the mom.
What is normal and what is abnormal?
Okay. The normal gene is where the red blood cells, the gene helps in the production of the red blood cells. The red blood cells takes about 4 months in the body. That's 120 days. Now, for people living with sickle cell, it's believed that the blood gene mutated as a result of resistance to malaria. That is history. I cannot prove it, but it's something in the space like that. So what happens is that the red blood cell now got a deformity where it takes a shorter time in the body. And the shorter time is between 10 to 20 days. The red blood cell then shrinks and becomes a sickle shape or crescent shape. And that's how the name sickle cell anemia was derived. So when it becomes that crescent shape, it's not useful to the body. So what happens is that it also becomes a problem, because for it to move through the blood vessels, it causes a lot of damage. There's pain, there's a lot of infection also experienced. Of course, definitely anemia, which is the biggest problem, and many other things that are not helpful for the body. So somebody who has two abnormal genes produces blood, and their blood does not take the time it should take in the body, meaning
so it doesn't take the 120 days.
So their development is kind of slowed, and they have a lot of health challenges. Yes.
tell us what, and it sounds strange as a question, but because you've said that it is hereditary.
Yes.
Right? 100%.
Yes.
What guarantees that a child will have sickle cell? What must the parents carry, and in what degrees, to guarantee that this child will not be a carrier, but will have the disease?
Because we are talking of probability, probability is a very difficult thing to predict, meaning that for every child you get, there's that probability. So 25% chance, or 1 in 4, that child could have sickle cell. 25% chance the child could be normal, no traces of sickle cell. 50% chance the child could be a carrier. So for somebody like me and my husband, for every child we get, those are the 4 probabilities we look per child. So my firstborn inherited the abnormal gene from me and the dad, and therefore he has sickle cell. So he has 2 abnormal genes. The secondborn inherited 1 normal gene and 1 abnormal gene. So he's a carrier. The thirdborn could either be sickle cell, could be a carrier, could be normal. So for every child, it's that probability. And that's why you find many people who have that knowledge slow down on the process. Unless now I get a child with somebody else, which I wouldn't recommend here, who does not have the gene, then that would break the cycle. But that's not the solution to it.
However, you must, in order for you, pairing up with somebody else to see a child getting sickle cell, one of you or both of you must be a carrier of the abnormal gene.
Yes, both of you must have the abnormal gene.
Okay.
Oh, for the carrier? For carrier,
for you to pass it on to a child.
Pass it on to a child,
yes,
you must be a carrier of the abnormal gene.
Both of you.
Yes,
both of you.
Both of you.
One person.
No. Like for me, I'm a carrier, and I believe that my father was the carrier. My mother, we tested, she's normal. She has 2 normal genes.
Okay.
And I inherited 1 normal gene from my mother and 1 abnormal gene from my dad.
Yes.
So my father did not make me have sickle cell.
No.
I'm just a carrier.
Yeah.
So I carry the gene, but I'm healthy. I can do everything. You can see me. I look very good.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and I don't have any problems. So I can do sports. I'm not limited to anything.
Sure.
But then now my son is unfortunate because he's limited to quite a lot of things because of the anemia.
Okay. Sorry, I want to, it's technical, it's scientific.
Yes.
But I come from a country whereby it has become almost government mandated for you to check your status before you even get married and think about having children. Now, if you know, looking at Kenya now, looking at some of the numbers, we're looking at in some parts of the country, 1 out of every 4 children born is born with sickle cell. 21,000 children every year in Kenya are born with sickle cell. There was a story that was carried in our dailies just a few weeks ago whereby the acting director for medical services was saying perhaps it's time to think about looking at our genes before we pair up. Is it necessary to start to think about that? Because a lot of us get into these unions, as it were, without this knowledge, and children, unfortunately, I mean, it's not damning, it's not judging, but it's lack of knowledge.
That's very true. Actually, if where we are seated here, only the 2 of us, I'm sure, know about our sickle cell status.
3.
Oh, you also know? Yeah. That's very good.
Mandated Nigeria.
But yes, it's something very important. But then you look at how sickle cell is spread in this country and you find that it's also slightly different from what Nigeria experiences. The malaria endemic areas are where you find the higher prevalence.
Yeah.
And then there's also high migration now towards the urban setup. So you find Nairobi also has a big number. But then that does not mean that if you go to the central and the Rift Valley and the eastern part of this country, you will not find sickle cell. You will find them, but the percentage is quite low. So this is where you even walk into facilities and a clinician may not understand what a child is going through. They may start from something else as they narrow to that, and they may not even get proper diagnosis. One of the things that I'm happy about is that the government right now is taking up sickle cell on a first-hand basis. Sickle cell, as you know, is more than 100 years since it was documented. But it's one of the diseases that has not been given focus or the focus it needs. Unfortunately, And I'm happy that today we are here with Donna. Many of these children don't see their 5th birthday simply because the anemia is just too much on them, and that's the time the child is also trying to develop the immunity. So you're fighting many things at the same time, and you find that we lose these children quite early. Today we are in a place where we can actually change our policies and say there are many things we can do. And just on World Sickle Cell Day, which was on the 19th of June, we were fortunate that the newborn screening program is being introduced into this country, and the Ministry of Health had launched it. And there's a guideline for it now. Now, with this newborn screening, hopefully we will be able to tell early these children who are likely to have sickle cell and the ones who have to be given early intervention. That said, it is important to educate the community about sickle cell, because we can go and say don't marry a carrier that, but ignorance again, I told you there has to be a level where you reduce the ignorance level. So you find that if I was told this about 20 years ago not to marry the man I've married, I think I would have caused drama. And today there are many other girls who are ready to cause drama if they are stopped from marrying who they want to marry. So it's about education first. And education is the first thing that we have to start with. We have to use all mediums to spread the news that there's sickle cell anemia, and this is how you get it, and these are the complications, and these are the problems that you're likely to face. A place like Nigeria is fortunate because a higher population has sickle cell. And therefore, when you talk sickle cell, almost everybody relates to it. There are parts of this country that you talk about sickle cell and people look at you like, what are you talking about? So, education. And then, how many carriers do we have in this country? We still don't have that.
We don't know.
Why?
No, we don't.
Why don't we know?
Exactly. Please, ask it loudly.
I mean, why don't we know? I mean, we know HIV prevalence because we test for it. We know the number of pregnancies we have in this country. We know so many things. We even know the number of thieves we have in the country. How is it that we do not know the number of people?
The problem is we've been targeting the disease from a lower level, not the higher level, where the root is the carriers. Because for any person to get sickle cell, you must have 2 people come together and get a child with sickle cell. Had we identified carriers a long time ago, maybe today this story would have been a different story.
How easy is it to identify a carrier?
Oh, very good question. How do we identify carriers? Most of these facilities should be able to tell if you have sickle cell gene. The only problem we have in this country is to even diagnose sickle cell is so expensive. I tell you, it's one of those conditions that you're born with and you start with the highest bills. There's no way you're going to pay any small bill. Diagnosis itself, not readily available everywhere, especially the areas which are largely affected. We have 18 counties out of 47 in this country that are highly affected. But when you ask how many of these counties have diagnosis machines, you'll be shocked. It's not there. So we cannot readily diagnose. And we also need to have a place where people can just go for reference. Sickle cell is given many names. You know, for me to make it look nice, I wouldn't want to say my child has sickle cell. I say, oh no,
child is anemic now.
Yeah, my child is anemic. Or, you know, the mother, I don't know what she did. Something happened in their home. They don't get healthy children. Or it's the father's fault. The father did that. So we try to sugarcoat it. And that's how come we don't have the right statistics. So I think it's about time we just got bold and said this sickle cell.
Open up this conversation and talk about it openly. Before we take a break, I want to bring you, Donna, into the conversation. So Donna Achieng is a sickle cell warrior, right?
Yes.
What does that mean and what's your story?
Okay, my name, as you've been told, I'm Donna Achieng. I'm 35, turning 36. I'm a mother to one 8-year-old girl. So basically, I was diagnosed with sickle cell. Okay, in most cases, you're diagnosed when you're a few months old, but mine came out when I was in Form 1, around 16 years old. So basically, my parents never knew anything about me having sickle cell because I was healthy. I was running, doing sports, doing everything. The only thing I had was yellow eyes. And back then, when you had yellow eyes, taken to the hospital, you are told give her carrots and glucose, her eyes will clear up. Yeah. So because I was healthy, I was not sick. So you see that even the doctors never thought to investigate further. Why would I think there was a time my classmates were told, used to complain that my eyes were light green. They became light green, not even yellow. But the doctors were like, just give her carrots, she'll be okay. You know, carrots are good for the eyes. I was okay. So they never took a step to know why. Yeah. So when I'm in Form 1, I think I collapsed in school. I was in Western Province. Then I was referred to Kisumu. Kisumu also, I was just taken round, and then I was told to go to Aga Khan. That's why I became tested, and they knew I had sickle cell. At first, I was being asked by people, where did you get the disease from? It's not in our family. Or is it, okay, by that time, it found my parents had passed. So people are like, okay, I used to stay with my father's relatives. So they were like, most of them, they used to ask me, I think you got it from your mother's side because it's not kwetu hakuna. Yeah, kwetu hakuna. But from my research, I came to okay, first of all, I was told you have sickle cell. I was like, what is that? The only thing the doctors told us, you'll be taking meds for the rest of your life. You see, they never expounded.
They didn't tell you what sickle cell is.
What is sickle? Because even my relatives, my uncles who I was living with, ugonjwa umetoa wapi? Where did you get this disease from? Because they also don't know what sickle cell is. You see, so from then on, I didn't take it lightly. I didn't assume it was a very serious condition. I just knew I was going to take meds for the rest of my life. Then I
At that
finished.
point, by the time you're moving, you're being referred from facility to facility to the private facility where you were diagnosed. Had you collapsed again?
No.
What was your health like?
I was okay. Quite fine. The only thing which maybe could have shown also I had sickle cell, like Celine had mentioned, we always have like a stunted growth. Like basically people can't assume that I am 35 years old. Yes, even if I walk outside there, somebody tells me, you can wear a high school's uniform and you go back to high school. You can just fit in quite well. When I walk with my daughter, she's almost my height. People assume that we are sisters, you see. So throughout high school, I was also okay. I think the first pain episode I ever had was after high school. After high school.
What happened?
I was just in Nairobi, walking around Uhuru Park. Then I started feeling pain, but I didn't know. I was never even told about a crisis. I didn't know a crisis. And I thought maybe, do you know that feeling of maybe you've been sitting long, or maybe you sat on your leg or your hands and then you start feeling, those ones. So that's the feeling I had. After some time, I told my friend, no, I think we've been walking for so long, let's go back. I was in college, I was in Ngara. So I walked from town to Ngara because it's near. On reaching the hostels, I said, let me rest a bit. It was in 2008. When I'm sleeping, the feeling was becoming too much. I said, let me just sit. So sitting, worse. It starts from the smallest of your joints, even these ones, then it starts spreading to every joint from top to bottom. So I think
every joint is paining.
Yes. From the smallest to any joint in your body, it starts aching. So 3 hours later, I was taken to a small clinic around the area. Then the nurse was about to inject me with pain meds. But before she did that, I thank her for that. She asked, one of my friends was the only one who knew I had sickle cell, because I had explained to her, does this lady have any condition? They told her, I have sickle cell. So she said, I cannot do anything for you. The only thing I can do for you is request an ambulance or a taxi to take you to Kenyatta. And in Kenyatta is where I got the best attention, though I stayed there for almost like a month or two. That was my first and the longest stay in hospital. But after that, I haven't had a very major crisis. Okay, we call the pains a sickle cell crisis. Yes.
What actually happens when you undergo this pain? Yes, the manifestation is the joints aching and then it spreads.
Okay.
Okay. But what actually is happening?
What's causing that pain?
Okay, the simplest way I can explain, like when you have normal red blood cells, they are mostly shaped round and they're smooth and they're like flexible. They can go through blood vessels very easily. Yeah. So for my case, I have sickled shape red blood cells. You see that shape,
like a crescent.
So in their case, they are very rigid. And they're very rigid. So when they try to pass through blood vessels, at times they'll pass, but at times they can try and pass, and then they get stuck. So when the more they try to pass there, the more they get stuck. They cause a blockage.
A stampede.
Yes. So when they cause a blockage, that point of which there's a blockage from the sickled cell red blood cells, that place starts experiencing pain. Yes.
And in the crescent shape also, they are rigid, so they also irritate the blood vessel.
Yes.
So you find that somebody who has a painful crisis can quickly also get an infection. You know, her case is quite unique because many parents who have children with sickle cell go through a lot more. We have a facility where I've seen children who are under 10 years who have gone who have had stroke. Stroke injuries where this child is not stroke. You were born fine. The next thing you know, you can't move anymore. We've seen people who have other injuries like, because of blood is needed for your day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
The lesser the supply, the area tends to get either strained or dies. So we have people who you'll find we have a limp, and that is where now there's the pain on the limb. Those are now complications. But to go to the symptoms, sickle cell presents maybe in the first 6 months. After the first 6 months, the first 6 months are sometimes very easy. After 6 months is when it can be easily diagnosed. Now at that point, some of the signs would be you see the child's eyes turn yellow. And that could be a sign of sickle cell. Sometimes you're told, it's jaundice, just put them outside when the 10 o'clock sun, it will go. No, should test for sickle cell. Now, the children sometimes have swollen, you've left a child in the house, playing, very happy. You come back after maybe an hour, the fingers are swollen and painful. Or the toes are swollen and painful, or on top of the fingers or the toes. That is known scientifically, they call it dactylitis. Now, that is very painful. It's where the blood vessels around that area are very tiny, so those red cells can't move. So in the process, they cause a swelling, which is so painful. And I always tell mothers, don't massage it. Don't take that warm cloth and start pressing it because it's so African, yeah?
Yes.
There's a swelling, let's press it, yeah.
Yes.
So the only thing you can do, is plenty of fluids to drink, painkiller, and rush to the nearest hospital. If there's a fever, make sure you go to the hospital immediately because fever is infection. The other thing is that you'll find a child crying, but you don't know why they're crying.
Especially when they can't speak.
Exactly. It doesn't show. The problem with sickle cell pain, it doesn't show. Like
there's no swelling. No
swelling sometimes. So you're just seeing somebody crying and they're saying the hand is hurting. The next thing they're telling it's here, because it's blood moving. And therefore with that problem, then now that's a crisis. Take that child to the hospital. The other things that you can observe with this child is when this child, today they are fine, tomorrow they are sick. And they're always spiking fevers, which you don't understand. But you were fine a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
That can also be another sign. But anyway, infection is something that needs to be investigated more, so it would not be the first sign of sickle cell. So mine is to tell mothers that at 6 months, when you start seeing those small signs of a child not looking okay, please just ask, can we also just test for sickle cell? It doesn't hurt.
That's true. Let's take a break, 22 minutes to 10. We're talking about sickle cell anemia and getting to understand it. Two people in the studio. Selina Ogweno is the CEO of the Children's Sickle Cell Foundation, and Donna Acheng is a sickle cell warrior. As we take this break, Final episode? No, second episode.
Second episode
Not
of
final.
Faithless
Okay.
dropped yesterday on Showmax. It's the original title, and a really interesting story is now starting to open up in terms of what happens with 4 young ladies who've run up on some money and they don't know the source of the money, but they say, hey, look, who knew? Shall we keep it? Shall we give it to the church? What are we going to do with the money? One of the girls finds out that her older brother is somehow caught up in this whole crime thing, and so now they're a little bit more confused. The question is, what are we going to do? How will the story unfold? Every week for the next 10 weeks, Showmax releases the title, or rather an episode from this title. Get onto showmax.com, subscribe, watch, and see how Faithless turns out.
Indeed. And next week, something big is happening in Nairobi, the 2023 summit from the 20th to the 21st at the Kenya Institute of Special Education. Africa Disability Collaboration convening the first African summit on inclusive early childhood care and education. And they're asking you to join them. Are you a teacher? Are you a child with a disability? Are you a caregiver of children with disability? Are you healthcare providers and other stakeholders in this sector? Please converge at the Kenya Institute of Special Education from the 20th to the 21st. And all you need to do is register for it on the Action Foundation website. Go to the Action Foundation website and you get more details.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Take the money. Who's gonna know? Cain won't rest until he finds you. You could run and go far away. Think about your role in the church. No one will know. It'll be your own secret. I am warning you. 4 church members pray for their crimes when they're drawn into a life of sin and violence in the new Showmax original series, Faithless. Now on Showmax. Sign up to watch at showmax.com.
Hey, you're good? It's been a minute. I don't see you at the apartments these days.
I'm good when I moved.
Better job, a better pay, more rent, huh?
Wapi Omera, call me homeowner.
Yeah, right. What are you talking about?
Listen, I was tired of paying rent. So, I remember I always told you, I need my own place.
Where? See, you must be earning a pretty penny to have bought a house or even be paying a mortgage.
No. I got on to Boma Yangu. It's a government-owned project for affordable housing.
Now, what is that?
Live the dream, owning your home. Log on to www.bomayangu.co.ke or dial *832# or walk into any Huduma Center countrywide and start your journey towards home ownership today. You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that is cushioned from inflation, call 0719-034-550. With a deposit of as little as 250,000, you can now start collecting rental income from your unit at Elmer Estate in Kasarani by Centum Real Estate.
Okay, sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning, 17 degrees, highs of 22. We'll see highs of 25 in a sunny Nakuru at 18, and it's 18 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 22. 24 will be the high in a sunny Eldoret at 17. The sun is up in Mombasa at 25, sunny at 26 in Malindi, 23 and sunny in Kisumu, 24 and sunny in Kakamega. Looking into Kampala, it's a sunny morning as well at 24, and it's sunny in Dar es Salaam at 26. It's a foggy, cold winter morning at 6 degrees in Johannesburg, highs of 14. It's mostly cloudy at 25 in Lagos and 21 and sunny in Kinshasa. Going into Friday evening is 35 degrees and sunny in Beijing. It's 17 and cloudy in Paris, and it's raining in London at 16. Thursday night is cloudy in New York. Coming into Friday, highs of 30 and lows of 22.
You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that is cushioned from inflation, call 0740-400-215. You can now start collecting rental income from your unit at 1255 Palm Ridge in Kilifi by Vipingo Development. engine revs, will you be ready to get all that petrol?
A little bit of traffic still left on Jogo Road as you get towards Landis. Lunga Lunga is also heavy in and out. As folks were running away from Uhuru Highway, they all got stuck on Likoni Road trying to get out into the city, but it's not going to last for long from what we see. The last of it is on the Thika Superhighway, and a little bit of it trickling in from Limuru Road right about now. Whatever is still happening on James Gishuru is negligible. You get out towards Waiaki Way and not have too much of an issue. We'll keep an eye on things through the morning. However, speak to us on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
For participation, contact Caroline on 0723803601 or email cnyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Cheng, who is a sickle cell warrior. Donna, so you're a mother.
Yes.
And you have sickle cell.
Yes, I do.
What's the status of your child?
She's a carrier.
Mm-hmm.
This means that she has only half the gene of sickle cell anemia, and she has the other normal gene from her father. Yes, her father doesn't have any sickle cell trait or any sickle cell genes.
Okay.
And I have the full-blown sickle cell anemia.
So for her, she wouldn't get the symptoms that you get?
Okay, from my interactions, I have friends from all over right now. There are very few cases of people who have the trait who experience the same complications that people with full-blown sickle cell anemia experience. But in most cases, they rarely do have any problems. I think that was the case from my father's side. You see, they were telling me, we don't have this disease in our home. But from my mom's side, I've seen a few cases of sickle cell anemia. But from my father's side, I've not seen. So I think their case was that the carriers were getting married to the normal. The carriers, so it was very hard noticing if there was any diseases in that family.
But the only way that you have full-blown sickle cell is because your mother and your father
were carriers.
Both were carriers.
Yes.
Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Are there any of them who have sickle cell anemia?
No, I'm the only one. My two brothers are normal. Yes.
Something I'd like to ask. Since this disease has to do with the blood, does transfusion help?
Yeah, one of the treatments that is administered, especially during the crisis, is a blood transfusion. Not every time, though, but it also comes as a treatment option, especially when the pain is so much and the patient, then the doctor decides based on what is assessed, he would sometimes recommend blood transfusion. And it works miracles, you know.
It does.
Yes.
Permanently so? Or?
No. You know, the thing is that the red blood cell just takes about 4 months in your body and then they get replaced. So you can imagine, even if you get blood transfusion, after 4 months, there's a replacement. And maybe in the transfusion, those blood cells will not also take 4 months in your body. So it's just a temporary measure that helps you just relieve the pain and also just try to keep you going.
Why is it then that as you get older, the episodes of crisis then are less hectic?
I think better habits. It's just all about habits because unfortunately with sickle cell is that a lot has not been said about it. But there's no place where we can say that when you're young it's worse than when you're older. It's the same thing across board. It's just one straight line. So all you have to do is that the habits have to change. Many things have to change in this person's patterns. As you grow older, you get to identify your triggers better than when you're a child. And these are some of the things that kind of frustrate. You can imagine where you find there's a child in school. The child is not feeling well and the teacher is telling them to sit down and don't disturb. The child misses school for even a month and the teacher starts blaming the child for malingering. So sickle cell, one of the interesting things about it is that these people get sick and they get very sick. They get absent from school, but when they come back, they catch up. Workplace is the same thing. When you have somebody with sickle cell, I don't know if your organization has anybody with sickle cell. Sometimes they'll miss work, but it doesn't mean that when they miss work, when they come back, they can't work. They are okay. It's just that at that point they were down. So it's a community thing that I still insist. Awareness has to get to that level where we now understand that there's somebody here with us who has sickle cell, and whenever they need us, we need to support them instead of trying to figure out how they got sick.
What brings about a crisis?
A crisis is brought up by many things. Stress is one of them.
Stress, huh?
Yes.
Extreme temperatures, cold heat. Dehydration is one of the biggest problems again for crisis. Infection. And then there are many other triggers for a crisis.
I have one.
Don't know what are your triggers.
One weird one.
Yes.
When I get overexcited, I can get into so much
extreme
pain.
mood swings. Yeah.
Yes.
What?
When I'm too happy or
it mirrors
too
stress.
afraid. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it comes to anxiety.
Yes.
Yes.
So there are many things that there are those triggers that we know, which of course we can talk about, and then there are those that now are personalized. Some people say that, when I eat this, I always find myself in a crisis. Now, those are now different segments of that. But most importantly, the common things that people have to look out for. When a child has sickle cell, they go to school, they must have their water bottle with them every day. Let me repeat. When a child is in school, they must have their water bottle.
So they must
have
constantly
to drink water,
hydrate.
Constantly hydrate, because as they dehydrate, your blood becomes thick and sticky. So that now triggers a crisis, because what happens is when it's thick and sticky, it's not flowing the way it's supposed to. So the sickle then now gets stuck properly. It's like a traffic jam. One misbehaves and the rest now go and overlap. And that's where the crisis is triggered.
There's this function that red blood cells have. This one of being the transport, the transported for oxygen. Yes. I understand, because oxygen then gets translated and transferred into energy, and I can understand why people who are sickle cell do not have energy sometimes because of that.
Exactly.
Now, water, oxygen, what is the relationship?
Water is just to supplement in the viscosity of the blood.
Yes.
Because when your blood is thick, especially when I prick you right now, and then you bleed, it will get a bit sticky.
It coagulates.
Yes. So now that's what's happening inside. Like your blood is now becoming thicker, and therefore it's not able to move properly. So when you continue hydrating, that fluidity, English is
fluidity. Correct, good English. Carry on.
It's restricted. So you find that this person now gets tired. This person now looks sickly. They don't have the energy you're talking about because there's no proper circulation. And that's when now you prepare yourself.
Crisis is coming.
And in schools, we have to make sure these children, when you drink a lot of fluids, you also have to go to the toilet. Now you can imagine when a child is drinking a lot of fluid and then you're told you only go to the toilet during break time. How do you manage that? So sometimes it robs them their self-esteem. The child is there thinking, how do I tell my teacher?
I need to go.
Now today's curriculum is a bit, let me use the most polite. The curriculum is stressful. You find a child with sickle cell goes to school at 5 o'clock in the morning and is expected to leave the school at 8 because you're preparing for an exam. I think that's not helpful. This child, by the time they reach 5 o'clock, they are not thinking. They are only thinking of how can I get rest. So sometimes you think you're giving them more by making them leave school late, but you're actually just reducing the value. Give them time to rest. Give them time to just regenerate and come back fresh. So we have curriculums that are stressful for these people, and they are forced to now compete in the same space with a child who is considered quote-unquote normal. Stress levels are high. This child is always ill, and then the teacher will say, this child doesn't like school.
Your organization, if I may ask, how does it work with the ministry? How does it work with schools so that, how does it work with training institutions so that people who want to become teachers and who are teachers are actually, when in that process, I'm speaking myself as an educator, how are they informed so that when they're in the process of actually teaching, tutoring, passing on knowledge, they take into consideration these unique circumstances that some of the learners find themselves in?
One of the things is that we are trying to collaborate very closely with schools because, of course, that's where our kids spend most of their time. And one of the collaborations, of course, is through the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and therefore we tend to look at the curriculum and see where we fit, where we can go and create awareness in those spaces. But most importantly, when they come to our clinic, because there's a clinic we have in Mathare, and then there's one in Kasarani and another in Athi River. When they come to the clinic, one of the things we give them is a letter that explains clearly what this kid has and what they need to do in the event that they get unwell or they need help. And this has really helped also in just creating awareness. To the level, I wouldn't say it's to a higher level. We still need more collaborations. And then, of course, with the new curricula coming in, CBC and all that, demanding a lot, and then COVID, it kind of slowed us down in terms of school awareness. And therefore, what other forums do we use? We use public spaces, we use the clinics, we visit a few teachers here and there and just be able to talk about sickle cell. The one thing that I'll tell you in this country is sickle cell is easily forgotten. Today we are here in Spice FM. I'll tell you, if I come back another 3 months, people will be like, what is that? And yet, we talked about it. So the one thing that we should maybe focus on is how do we not get forgotten? Do we have to cause a sin? And what kind of a sin is this? We start from here then. So that people never forget us. You tell a teacher very well, this child has this problem. They take care of that child, the child leaves. The next child who comes in, they can't remember. You start from scratch. So how is it that this can be put in the curriculum of teachers, where they take care of children with chronic illnesses? You know, it's not only sickle cell. There are those who are diabetic. There are those who have other conditions. How can this be part of the curriculum of teachers in schools? And I'm speaking now to the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, asking them, can we have something? Can we have a moment where Selina can walk into a teaching college and says, today we are talking about sickle cell? From a caregiver's point of view, and the teachers are able to understand, because I think that practicality needs to be gotten. We have mothers who have more than one child with sickle cell. I tell you, it's mayhem.
What?
They can't afford medication, they can't afford. The children are missing schools in turns. It's like a musical chair.
This one starts, another one starts.
And it becomes crazy. Now you're dealing with a parent who is already so drained, but the teacher is demanding, the community is demanding, the family is demanding, other people in the family.
What are these demands, Selina? Just tell us your story.
Okay.
Because you have a child who is full-blown sickle cell anemic. What is it that you go through as a caregiver?
As a caregiver, one of the challenges you get is that you can easily ignore other children or other members of the family. Simply because, and I look at a situation where a mother has spent maybe a week in hospital with a child. When she comes from that hospital, she's not ready to socialize. She just wants to rest. But when she's just about to start resting, the same child gets sick again. So you're on your way back to the hospital. And then you have a husband to take care of. Or rather to, take care of, to relate to. You have children around here who need you as a mother. You have the community who expect you to participate, because there are those things like chamas that you now even pull yourself out of. But when you need help, you need the community. So they'll say, but she never participates in our events. So those are the small demands that we have that tend to rob somebody their peace. A person living with sickle cell, on the other hand, brilliant, finishes school, goes to university, not even a college, university, and then is denied an opportunity of a job because of their health. How do you help that? Oh, you'll always be sick, we don't want that kind of drama. So you find that in this space of sickle cell, it's one of those things that you feel they are complaining, but they are not. They are trying to tell you, please, we are here, listen. But no, they rarely complain. Some of them are introverts. Some of them are beaten to their problem that they are quiet. And we don't want them to be quiet. Selina is loud. But how many Selinas do we have there?
Not many.
We need warriors to come out and just say, you know what, enough is enough.
As you conclude, Selina, people are asking, how can they help your foundation, the Children's Sickle Cell Foundation?
Fantastic. The first thing about help is, one of the things I always say is, let's create awareness. Because you've had us in this studio today, please go tell someone and another one about sickle cell. Let's start from there. The other way of helping is that we have facilities across the country that have people who need medication, people who just need to be attended to, people who've developed complications. And these are people whom you don't necessarily have to support them through us. You can actually just tell me, I'd like to support one person, and I'll be able to direct you to one person who needs help. And that is one of the ways in which we can change these lives, where somebody just needs, for a normal person to go through a regular checkup, today goes between 6 is too low, from 10,000 to 15. That's a checkup in a facility where I'm just going to do my lab test, because they have to do the lab test, they have to come out with medication for the month, they have to see a doctor to tell them they're okay. So between 10 to 15K. Adopt one person and just say, I'll take care of this person's health for the next 1 year or few months, and make them now feel better.
Walk the journey with them.
Yes, walk the journey with them. The other thing is that let's be kind.
Do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
What's the website?
childrensicklecell.foundation.
childrensicklecell.foundation. You want more information, please go there, childrensicklecell.foundation. Selina Ogweno is the CEO of the Children's Sickle Cell Foundation, and Donna Acheng, sickle cell warrior. They've been our guests this morning, creating awareness on sickle cell anemia. We'll call you again, because we must keep talking about this to create more awareness, like you've said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation this week. Have a lovely weekend. God willing, see you on Monday, 10 a.m.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto is expected in Nakuru County, where he will be launching the Naivasha and Jambini road construction project. The head of state is also scheduled to lead the opening ceremony of Ngea High School in Mai Mahiu constituency this afternoon. The county